All of you, a very good morning. So I'll be taking up portions of geography, environment, disaster management, and society. That's the domain that I have. Geography is my specialization. It overlaps with human geography, which has a quite an overlap with society. So what is about human geography? It's about population, it's about tribal population, it's about settlement as a parameter. It is also, so this transition happens. It's echoing? Okay. Voice. Is it fine now? It's better? Is it fine? Okay, I think it's loud enough. Right. So that transits to society. Human geography, the element of population, the element of the demographic characteristics, migration, also about the settlement pattern. It migrates to society. So the domain that I'll be starting, we'll cover GS paper 1 society as well as geography together. Right. So let me start off with the first question, that is discuss the consequences of climate change on food security in tropical countries. So when I say this, discuss the consequences of climate change on food security in the tropical country. First question for geography, first three questions were history, in that also there was role of geography in influencing ancient India, the parameters, geographical parameters influencing ancient India and development of ancient India. There have been emphasis on geography. When you read this question, that discuss the consequences of climate change on food security in tropical countries. So here on one hand, it's about food security. And on the other hand, what is it asking? Basically, whenever you hear or read a question, always think of two things. First, what are the keywords? What are the keywords in the question? One. Second, think of how many parts are being asked in the question. Generally, for a 10 marker question, it will be one part. एक ही part पूछेगा. That consequences of climate change on food security. Keywords क्या है? Keywords है climate change and food security. तो पहले think of how many keywords? Two keywords. Climate change, food security. Second, what is it asking? It is asking me about the consequences of climate change on food security, the impact of climate change on food security. So I know the keywords, I understand the demand of the question. The second thing that should come in, kitne part? One part. Part से मुझे ये समझ आता है that how do I structure my answer? How much percentage of the focus should I give it to in my body? How do I start off? Introduction क्या करे? Diagram क्या बनाए? And what do I write in body? How do I conclude? So introduction, diagrams, especially for geography. Your paper is not completed for geography unless and until you have diagram. For other papers, for other subjects, it's introduction, body, conclusion. But for geography, it is introduction, diagram, body, and conclusion. Okay. So discuss the consequences of climate change on food security. So either I will know that one part, I'll structure my answer like I can start off with the definition of food security. Okay. So let's get some basic clear. Get some basic clear. Whenever you hear the question, first basic, what are the keywords? Two keywords. Second, what is it asking me? It is asking me about the consequences of climate change on food security. How many parts? One part. How do I structure now? कैसे मैं structure करूँ? Introduction में क्या लिखूँ? Diagram क्या बनाऊँ? Body में क्या लिखना है? और conclusion में क्या लिखना है? जो main demand है question का, the consequences of climate change on food security, that will come in what? That will come in the body part. The consequences of climate change on food security. How do I introduce? I introduce with either mentioning about climate change. I either introduce by mentioning about food security, because दो ही keywords थे, climate change and food security. तो introduction के कितने type होते हैं? What are the types of introduction? First type of introduction is a definition type of introduction. Here you could have started off with the definition of food security. That is one type of introduction. Second type of introduction is factual introduction. Like as per IPCC, this much percentage of global warming is affecting this much percentage of the food crops. As per IPCC, 1 degree rise in temperature affects the yield by 1.7%. That's what IPCC says. So second type of introduction is a factual introduction, right? कब introduction में definition करूं, कब introduction में factual चीजें लिखूं, या third type of introduction is why in news introduction, as in the context based introduction. There's possible, right? There can be a very good news that would have come that would help the examiner to derive this question, that probably about FAO report, probably about global hunger index report, and one of the parameters of reducing the yield, reducing the food security can be that news. तो तीसरा type का introduction होता है that why this topic has been in news. Now when I'm thinking, when I'm practicing my answer writing, I can think of, consciously think of कि इसमें definition क्या होगी, इसमें fact क्या होगा, इसमें news में जो आया है, why in news, that what it be there. But when you are writing in the examination, you don't have that much of luxury. You just have 7 minutes for 10 marker question. You have 10.5 minutes for 15 marker question. So you don't have the luxury in the examination. But while you are practicing here, in this, you should consciously think of, okay, can I start with the definition of climate change? Can I start with the definition of food security? Do I know some fact? That is what we call as brainstorming. Okay? At least in case you can give at least 1 hour of your day in brainstorming. लिखना नहीं है पूरा, but brainstorm कर रहे हो कि definition क्या है, fact क्या हो सकता है, news में क्यों था, तो that gives you a definite edge. Not drudgery of writing answers, but making your horses, making your brain run. ठीक है? So that is how do you introduce? You can introduce on the basis of 3 parameters. 1, you can start off with a definition. You can start off why in news or the context of it, or you can give me a fact. अब इसमें भी ये समझना कि कब डेफिनेशन ज्यादा इंप्रेसिव है और कब फैक्ट ज्यादा इंप्रेसिव है. Whenever the topic is simple, let's say cyclone, 90% of you would know the definition of cyclone. It's a low pressure depression wherein the circulation is anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. ऐसे टाइप में अगर आप definition लिखते हो wherein 90% of you know the definition, that type of definition is not impressive because that is not separating you from others. Exam is competitive, right? You will get around 40% of marks. मिलेगा आपको consolation, आपको participation prize मिलेगा to write. You've written the examination, completed the papers. You will get 35-40% of marks, right? Nobody gets less than 60 marks if they complete the paper. Point here, how to make that 60, 80 to 100, and from 80 to 100. This journey is just of 20 marks, and 20 marks amounts to +1 number for every question. What will you do to get that 1 extra number? It is about content, it is about answer writing, it is also about playing with the psychology of the examiner. How do you play with the psychology of the examination? Examiner अगर सब definition लिख रहे हैं, सबको पता है, तो मेरे पास edge क्या है? I write with a fact. 1 line definition and a fact. I write something different from others because बोरियत नहीं होगी. Everybody is giving definition. The examiner would feel something better. So know that when do I use definition? Know that when do I use a fact? Know that when do I use why in news? Right? So know that thing. Play with the psychology of the examiner there. So this is about the introduction. In the body, or for that matter for geography, it is about diagram. You should put a diagram. And generally we say that put a diagram just after the introduction or just before the conclusion. Sometimes just after the introduction, because don't make your examiner wait. Diagram kahan hai? Geography ke liye. And why before the conclusion? Because अब वो number देने वाला है. ठीक है? तो अब जब वो number देने वाला है, तो उसको पता है कि हाँ, this is something extra. Generally I prefer it after the introduction because that sets the tone. That sets the tone of my answer. So here, diagram. Here, in this type of diagram, the climate change and food security, the consequences of climate change on food security. In case you are good at world map making, you can show the world map throughout. You can show me the parameters of climate change. Parameters क्या हैं climate change के? What do we mean by climate change? What are the parameters? Heat wave. heat wave, uneven rainfall, increasing in the erraticness of the rainfall. Climate change and deforestation. मैं रीजन ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज नहीं पूछ रही हूँ, देखो दोनों में डिफरेंस है. रीजन ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज इज डिफॉरेस्टेशन. द पैरामीटर मीन्स व्हाट? हाउ डू यू नो क्लाइमेट चेंज इज हैपनिंग? Because there is heat wave. How do you know climate change is happening? Your erratic monsoon. How do you know the climate change is happening? Western disturbances, El Nino, cold waves. That is the parameter. आपको कैसे पता climate change हो रहा है, right? Desertification, spread of desertification. What I am trying to propagate here is make a world map. Know the places where you have experienced heat wave, like heat wave in France, and then write the effect on Mediterranean agriculture, the effect on grapes. Heat wave का effect पड़ा grapes cultivation पे. So I am taking both the parameters in the diagram also. I am taking a parameter of climate change. I am also taking a parameter of food security in my diagram. I am showing world map. I am saying heat wave affecting grapes. I am saying western disturbances affecting tomatoes. दोनों पैरामीटर लेके चल रहे हैं, क्लाइमेट चेंज और फूड सिक्योरिटी का. आई एम सेइंग दैट इंक्रीजिंग इन टेम्परेचर अफेक्ट्स फिशरीज, ठीक है, बिकॉज फिशरीज ऑल्सो अ पार्ट ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर. तो एग्रीकल्चर इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट फूड ग्रेन. Agriculture is also about fisheries. Agriculture is about your allied activities. It's about your vegetation. It's about the fruits, horticulture. वो dimension भी आना चाहिए. आप इसमें से कोई भी एक पैरामीटर भी ले लिए एक्स्ट्रा, you know that you have an edge over others. That बाकी सब food grain की बात कर रहे हैं, wheat rice की बात कर रहे हैं, but you have said horticulture, you have said plantation agriculture. आप Mediterranean vegetation लिख रहे हो. This is what you study, right? You study in your papers, but then you have to put that into the answer, right? So diagram, both the parameters of climate change and food security. Then in the body you try to elaborate the effect of climate change on food security. Parameters सोचना, headings सोचना, elaborate करना, examples लिखना. Headings, elaboration. You should make your examiner read your answer. आपका एग्जामिनर आपका आंसर रीड करने के लिए मजबूर हो जाए, इतना अच्छे से आप उसको प्रेजेंट करोगे, राइट? हेडिंग, इलेबोरेशन, एग्जाम्पल. यू रिमेंबर योर यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जामिनेशंस में व्हाट वी यूज्ड टू डू? जब हम यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम के लिए प्रिपेयर करते थे, व्हाट वी यूज्ड टू डू? हेडिंग पढ़ लेते हैं, अंदर का हम लिख लेंगे, अंदर का हम इलेबोरेट कर लेंगे. Why do we do that? Because we know that even if the examiner reads the heading, उसको पता है कि मुझे पता है. He knows that I know. ठीक है? So point यहाँ पे भी यही है. Your examiner has a lot to check papers. ठीक है? And it is, if you have checked papers, I have checked papers, it is not an easy job. It is actually not an easy job. If you say that what is the most difficult job in academic profile here, it is checking the papers. Why? Because it is not very, interesting job. And when your examiner reads what? 1400 sheets, right? If he reads 1400 sheets, he gets bored. So you will have to make something to make your examiner read your answer. He is doing a favor. He is doing a favor by reading your answer. So please oblige him by saying कि हाँ, आप heading पढ़ लो, आप एग्जाम्पल पढ़ लो. मैं एग्जाम्पल ही अंडरलाइन करूंगी, मैं हेडिंग को बोल्ड करूंगी, आप उतना पढ़ लो और मुझे नंबर दे दो. द मोर यू डू दी वर्क इजी फॉर योर एग्जामिनर, जितना ज्यादा आपके एग्जामिनर के लिए चीजें इजी होगी, उतने नंबर आपको एक्स्ट्रा मिलेंगे. सो फॉर दैट इन दी बॉडी वन पैरामीटर इज हेडिंग्स एंड एग्जाम्पल्स. हेडिंग्स, इलेबोरेशन, एग्जाम्पल. हेडिंग्स, इलेबोरेशन एंड एग्जाम्पल. सो दैट्स द बेसिक introduction, diagram, body and conclusion. How do you conclude? Like we have the type of introduction, similarly we also have type of conclusions. Consciously सोचना, मुझे ये खत्म करना है, मुझे ये आंसर खत्म करना है. Consequences of climate change बोला है on food security. I started off with, let's say, definition of food security. I showed the parameters of climate change on the world map. I showed the consequences of climate change on food security. Climate change यानी heat wave yield को कम कर रहा है, western disturbances tomato को affect कर रहा है. Talk about marine heat waves affecting the fisheries. मैंने parameters बता दिए. अब मैंने food security से start किया था. I started off with food security. I showed in the world where is food security getting hampered. I wrote those parameters. I showed the relation of climate change and food security. How should I conclude? How should I conclude? कैसे conclude करें? I started off with food security. I showed it on the diagram. I also established the relation of climate change affecting the food security. How do I conclude? Suggestions. One way of concluding is suggestion. Suggestion for what? Suggestion for mitigating the effect of climate change on food security. आपने सजेशन ले दिया, एक टाइप का इंट्रोडक्शन, एक टाइप का कंक्लूजन, दैट व्हाट वी शुड गो फॉर क्लाइमेट स्मार्ट एग्रीकल्चर, वी शुड गो फॉर ड्राउट प्रोन रेजिस्टेंट वेराइटी ऑफ सीड्स. श्री अन्ना मिलेट कॉन्फ्रेंस, ठीक है, मिलेट्स का होगा क्योंकि क्लाइमेट चेंज का इंपैक्ट नहीं होता इतना. सो आई विल गो फॉर क्लाइमेट स्मार्ट एग्रीकल्चर. आई विल गो फॉर drought resistant variety of seeds. That is one type of conclusion. Anything else? You can summarize. नहीं समझ आ रहा, I am not able to recall anything at the moment, but I have to conclude. So what do? I summarize everything. Hence we can see that climate change affects food security and therefore it is important to take steps. ठीक है, इतना ही लिख लो, एक लाइन. नहीं कुछ समझ आ रहा तो एटलीस्ट समराइज इट, डोंट लीव इट, राइट अ लाइन. ठीक है, दैट समराइजेशन बेस्ड कंक्लूजन. एनीथिंग एल्स? सजेशन बता दिया या तो फिर समराइज कर दे. यस, वेरी गुड. So suggestion is you are recommending based on committee recommendation or something, MS Swaminathan committee recommendation. Third can be steps taken. Obviously government have also taken some steps. So the steps taken by the government to mitigate the impact of climate change on food security. तो या तो आप बता दो करना क्या है, या तो जो गवर्नमेंट ने स्टेप लिए हैं वो बता दो. That government has taking into consideration the effect of climate change on food security. Government has taken various steps, like at the national level there is this seed bank in Ladakh, Changthang region. We are preserving these seeds because we never know, one cyclone coming impacting food security, one heat wave coming impacting the crops. So we are preserving the seeds in Ladakh, Changthang region. We are also preserving the seeds at the world level. Svalbard, Norway में Svalbard seed bank है. So steps that government has taken. We're taking steps like we talk about Paris Agreement for oceans, Paris Agreement for mitigating the climate change. Paris Agreement for ocean भी है जिसको आप biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction protect करना चाहते हो, BBNJ. Steps taken and make your answer little dynamic. Okay, make your answer little dynamic. When I say dynamic, have current affairs, right? Svalbard, the Ladakh seed bank, talk about Paris Agreement. That is giving you an edge. So the third type of conclusion can be steps that the government has taken. One can be what steps we should take, and one can be summarization. इसके अलावा भी there can be one type of conclusion, that is your futuristic conclusion. That what is actually happening in future, what is panning out in the future. Climate change is affecting security presently. However, in future there would be drastic impact. With suggestion, basically आप बोल रहे हो कि क्या ले step, आप क्या steps लो, ये way forward है. ये अगर आपको way forward याद नहीं आ रहा, कोई कमिटी की recommendation नहीं याद आ रही, तो आप एटलीस्ट फ्यूचरिस्टिक तो बता सकते हो कि अभी सिचुएशन खराब है और खराब होने वाली है, तो फ्यूचरिस्टिक. So you are talking about what would happen in the future. Can I supplement both two, futuristic and suggestion? Yes. Can I supplement futuristic and step taken? Yes. Can I supplement summarization and step taken? आप combination भी रख सकते हो. मैं सिर्फ direction दे रही हूँ कि सोचो कि किस तरह का conclusion हो सकता है. The most easy is summarize. Whatever you've written, you are just summarizing. Hence we can see. Like we used to say in children, ki hence you can see, hence proved. Okay, so that's the most easy one. But then there can be others also. Futuristic, steps taken, steps needed. Right? My suggestion is, yes. Yes. No, they are not asking. In case they would have asked the question that what steps have been taken, discuss the consequences. It's a 10-marker question, right? Discuss the consequences of climate change on food security in the tropical countries. In the tropical countries. Here in the body, it is only asking me one thing. What is the effect of climate change on food security? And that too in the tropical countries. I would have to write the name of the tropical countries. I would have to write about the consequences. Steps taken is not asked. If there would have been a question asked, discuss the consequences and mention the steps taken by government, then that would have come in the body part. जो आपसे पूछता है, that is the main body. Rest are the fillers. Rest are the fillers. You can fill it up in the conclusion. You can fill it up in the introduction. तो कंक्लूजन में क्या लिखोगे? अगर बॉडी पार्ट में स्टेप्स लिख लोगे तो कंक्लूजन में क्या लिखो? वे फॉरवर्ड और स्टेप्स. अच्छा ठीक है. माय सजेशन वुड बी, इन केस इट इज नॉट आस्किंग यू, देन यू राइट इट इन द कंक्लूजन. दैट्स व्हाट आई सजेस्ट. अगर आपको डायनेमिक बनाना है आंसर, यू कैन मेक योर आंसर डायनेमिक बाय नॉट फॉरगेटिंग दिस. Many of you will write about the consequences of climate change on food security, but not give me the example of tropical countries. When it is specifically saying tropical countries, likho example. Talk about Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, China, okay, Taiwan. Talk about those countries. Talk about Australia. Talk about African countries. You have to write such example. That is one. Specifically to this question, when you actually hear the word, discuss the consequences of climate change. When you hear the word, discuss the consequences of climate change on food security. Now, on this question specifically, क्योंकि dynamic बनाना है, पहले तो let's first. Did you understand the type of introduction? 3 types of introduction. Did you understand that you should draw a diagram in geography answers to have an H? Diagram can be a world map. Diagram can be hub and spoke. बीच में आपने बना दिया गोला, and you are writing the parameters of climate change. Diagram is something that is breaking the monotony of the answer. Some visual presentation. So we understand introduction, types of introduction. We understand diagram has to be made. We also understand the type of conclusion. We understand all of this. Now, coming to this question per se, discuss the consequences of climate change on food security in tropical countries. You should not forget tropical countries. ये specifically examples लिख के आने. 1. Second, here understand, जब भी आप सोचोगे climate change and food security, what you would be thinking is, you would be thinking effect of, let's say, effect of heat wave on yield, effect of cold wave on productivity, effect of, let's say, El Nino in destruction of crops. और कुछ सोचो बताओ. ठीक है, फिशरीज, ऑन फिशरीज, और इफेक्ट व्हाट रेन फेड एग्रीकल्चर. ठीक है, फाइन. रेन फेड एग्रीकल्चर का क्या क्या कम हो रहा है? यील्ड, प्रोडक्शन एंड यील्ड. मॉनसून इफेक्टिंग. ठीक है, इरेटिक ऑफ मॉनसून. बताओ. Very good. When you are talking about food security is not just about food availability. हमारी food security compromise होगी just not because हमारा food availability compromise हो रहा है. Whenever you hear the word food security, give your answer a bigger dimension. Food security is not just about food availability alone. फूड अवेलेबिलिटी तो एक ही पैरामीटर है फूड सिक्योरिटी का. फूड सिक्योरिटी इज ऑल्सो अबाउट फूड एक्सेसिबिलिटी. सपोज climate change related conflicts or climate change related displacements. There are problem of nations having climate change related issues. Climate change है, displacement हो रहा है, sea level rise हो रहा है, तो दो nations के बीच में conflict हो गए. Quite possible. One nation says, I will not supply you food. What happened? My nation becomes food insecure. Because मेरी क्या compromise हुई? Accessibility. दूसरे nation के पास food है, मुझे नहीं मिल रहा. It's in showcase. I can't take it. So climate change related conflicts like in Yemen, Sudan, there is compromise of the food accessibility. So don't simply write about food availability. ये आपके आंसर को अलग लेवल पे ले जाए. So making your answer dynamic. It is also about food stability. That biodiversity loss and stability loss. So availability loss, stability loss, accessibility loss. It is also about food security, is also about food affordability. कैसे? सबसे ज़्यादा vulnerable population of climate change is farmer, tribal population. Most affected, the most affected sector is what? Primary sector. Agriculture sector is the most affected. If there is climate change related reduction in the profits, do you think farmer can afford food? Farmers cannot afford food. जब खुद agriculture कर रहे हैं, but खुद की खेती खराब हो रही, so they can't afford food. So climate change is also affecting the vulnerable population the most. Tribal population, lack of affordability of food. Farmers population, small and marginal farmers, lack of affordability of the food. So it is not just about availability. It is about accessibility. It is about affordability. Nutritional security. Climate change. Food को कम नहीं कर रहा. It's not reducing production, but it is reducing the nutrient security. Nutrient security, there is less nutrients in the food, less nutrients in the wheat and the rice. So when you have to make your answer dynamic, you have to think, what do I give an extra point? That extra point could be 1. Agriculture is not equal to food grains alone. It's also about fisheries, it's also about allied sector. Second, food security is not just about food availability. It is also about affordability, accessibility, etc. Third, I give examples of tropical countries. इस तीनों में से कुछ भी कर लिया, तीनों में से कोई भी एक point कर लिया, you have an edge over others. Any one. I am telling you 2, 3, but then any one if you are able to do, you will have an edge over others because you are giving new dimension, new point to give to the exam, right? So just discuss the consequences. Here the traps is, the question is moderate level. The trap is structuring can be an issue, that you will not be able to structure as much. The trap is people will not write the examples of developing countries, the example of tropical countries, Brazil, India, Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh, ये miss कर जाएंगे. The focus would be on the climate parameters alone. मतलब आप सोचोगे, let me elaborate climate parameters, El Nino, La Nina, monsoon, heat waves, but then you have to link it to food security. You have to link it to the food security. Other trap is agriculture does not mean food grains alone. It is also about allied sector. How do I introduce? I can start off with a fact. I can start off with a definition. I tended to start off this with the definition because food security is a good term. If I ask you, how many of you know the definition of food security? I'm playing here because मुझे पता है कि आपको नहीं पता है, मुझे पता है कि आपको पता है, तो मैं उस हिसाब से I am playing. Food security, and every time when you write a definition, try to give some name, authentic name. So as per FAO, मैं नहीं कह रही food security क्या है, मैं कुछ नहीं हूँ, FAO. So as per Food and Agriculture Organization, food security exists when all people at all time have access to good and quality food. So it's at all people at all time have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food. कितनी comprehensive definition है, सारे लोगों को सारे time पे access है, economic, physical. I can afford, I can have the accessibility, physical accessibility to food grains, to good and nutritious food grains that meet their dietary needs and food preference for an active and a healthy life. Simple, one definition which sums up food security in comprehensiveness. as per FAO. Then I write the parameters of food security because I know नहीं लिखेंगे आप सिर्फ availability पे रहेंगे. Availability, accessibility, utilization, also about your stability, also about nutritional security, also about affordability. जब भी food security word आए, सोचना how do I break my answer into these 4 points: availability, affordability, accessibility, utilization, stability. Mains answer writing is knowing the frameworks. जो toppers होते हैं, when you hear the word art and culture, right, when you hear the word culture, toppers के दिमाग में बन जाता है 5 parameters लिख के ही आने. Culture is about food, festival. That is the level of brainstorming that you have to do. जहां culture दिखा, I know मुझे 5 parameters लिखने हैं. I have to write about festivals, food, dresses. I have to write about the language, performing arts. ये हाँ बोला ड्रेस. ये 5 पैरामीटर दिखने हैं. इतना मैकेनिकल हो जाता है that you read the question in a sufficient detail after this. जहां कल्चर आया यानी 5 चीज: food, festival, dress, performing arts, language. That is there. Performing arts also about literature, architecture. तो आपको आर्ट एंड कल्चर जैसे कल्चर दिखेगा तो ये दिखना चाहिए. आपको जहां क्लाइमेट चेंज दिखा वहां 5 पैरामीटर्स दिखने चाहिए. 5 पैरामीटर्स. आई एम नॉट आस्किंग फॉर मोर because 5 parameters is good to give you a head start. That's what actually boils down. So in case you are able to do this, in case you are able to look at culture like this, in case you are able to look climate change like this, 5 parameters. When I say human values, आपके दिमाग में सीधा आना चाहिए: love, care, compassion, ठीक है, patience, tolerance. 5 parameters. बाद में सोचेंगे और डिटेल क्या लिखनी है. But then this is the level of brainstorming that you have to achieve. Why do I say that? It's because examination में main problem है time का. If I give you 1 hour to write an answer, you will write a beautiful answer, and I'm sure your creativity would be best. However, problem is the examination is forcing you to write in 7 minutes. The examination is forcing you to write in 10.5 minutes. So what happens is your internalization on tips. It's like you don't have, your brain should not think. Reflex actions होते हैं. Your hand should know that what is coming from my nervous system. Nervous system is giving introduction कि ये लिखना है. Nervous system is giving कि ये 5 parameters लिखो, बाद में बात करेंगे और अच्छे से देखेंगे. But then because the problem is just of time pressure, so you fit it into your brain, the frameworks. Food security आया, I'll talk about affordability, accessibility, utilization, stability, as well as availability. Right? The others would stick on availability. I will write on that. So this is about your food security, the 4 dimension of food security. I've done a good, decent introduction. I know I have an edge there. I know I have an edge in the diagram. Or I can show the world map example of impact on yield, water availability to crops, loss of biodiversity. Drawing a world map. For some of you, it has become an exercise now. Ab easy hai. We've done that effort. For some of you, you will have to make a world diagram in, let's say, 20-30 seconds. A rough sketch. You don't have to have a very perfect sketch. A rough sketch would do. So here about the availability, etc. Body, I said, try to have. Now, when I just show you this, what is the thing that you see? If you look at this, if you look at the body, what is the thing that you see is your brain tend to read here. Your brain tend to read what is bold, and your brain would tend to read some fact. That's how our brain functions. So you will have to make your examiner also. उसका भी दिमाग हमारे से सही है, तो आपको खेलना है. Simple. Reduced water availability compromises nutritional security. Pest and disease. 65 million people affected. Sudan, Somalia. समझ आ रहा ना? Pest affect करेगा. 65 people have been affected. Sudan, Somalia में ज़्यादा affected. Facts याद कैसे होंगे? I get a lot. Who said that? Facts तभी याद होंगे when you create a story around them. When you yourself make an effort, right? It's like you will have to make an effort. Yesterday only I was telling somebody that what is the electricity that India generates? So it's around 420 gigawatts. 420 gigawatt is the electricity capacity, total installed capacity that we have. तो अब I know I will forget this fact. बट अगर मैं उसके पीछे स्टोरी बना दूं, मेरी कंट्री ना 420 इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनाती है, ठीक है? तो आपने एक थोड़ा सा फन एलिमेंट डाला. यू जस्ट पुट वन फन एलिमेंट, 420, नो पन इंटेंडेड, ठीक है? सो you will remember it. You will remember 420, okay, 40, 60. 40 is renewable energy, 60 is non-renewable energy. And 60 में से majority is what? Majority is coal. और ये कहते हैं कि coal बंद करो. You will have to create a story. You will have to make some fun activity. Only then you will remember. And let me tell you, no matter how much I tell you, till the time you make an effort of active learning, you will not remember. You will forget. I have been telling the names of what? Godavari ki tributaries bata do. And I have made them learn, literally learn. But then नहीं बता पाएंगे जब तक खुद effort नहीं मारोगे. That it's Dudna, Purna, Venganga, Penganga, Varda, Sabri, Siddhar. Rhyme. It's rhyming. So till the time you make an effort, you will not be able to remember. It is about active learning. I can tell you tricks. I can guide you. But effort तो खुद को मारना है. क्यों खुद को मारना है? Because you will remember only that. So how do you remember facts? You develop a story. Develop a story. Simple. There are about 9 billion population. 65 million is affected. Percentage सोचो. 1/10 लिख लो. If not that, 1/10. 9 billion, 90 million. So just write 1/10 of the population is affected. Make some story. Make some energy. The moment you give energy, you will remember it better. So it's about water availability. It's about pest and disease, increasing temperature. There is accessibility to food. 1% rise in temperature affects 1.7%. Can I not use this in introduction? I can use in introduction also. Fact है. Fact दोनों पैरामीटर को लेके चल रहा है, climate change and food security. I can use that. Western disturbances. In conclusion, you can tell us about the steps taken. The steps taken in the form of climate smart agriculture, drought resistant variety of seeds. नहीं कुछ समझ आए तो SDG आलू है, ठीक है? वो सब it's like नहीं समझ आ रहा. But SDG would work, especially in the environment, in your geography based answer. That it is important to reduce climate change so as to achieve SDG 2, SDG 1, SDG 14. We need international cooperation, SDG 17. वो आलू है, कुछ नहीं समझ आए तो SDG डाल दिया. In this question, why not? Why not? मतलब तो क्या हो गया? बिल्कुल. Let Veda says, let knowledge come from all sides. We will see that we have taken example of Spawn City, best example. And for that matter, if you would have heard in newspapers, newspapers they give that Bangalore should have a Spawn City from China, like China is doing. We should have. हम सारे मॉडल्स टॉक अबाउट एनी मॉडल्स. वी हैव नॉट गॉट दी भगवान ने सिर्फ मुझे थोड़ी दिमाग दिया या मेरी कंट्री को. देयर आर गुड practices working. What is the purpose of academics? What is the purpose of wisdom? Take it from all the sides. So why can't we use? Definitely we can use best practices across the world. Yes, very good. No, what happens is, yeah, very good. What happens is when we tend to write and underline, understand what we do while we are reading. No, हम पूरी लक्ष्मीकांत अंडरलाइन करते हैं, हम पूरा स्पेक्ट्रम अंडरलाइन करते हैं, तो हम आंसर के टाइम पे भी सब अंडरलाइन कर देते हैं. एंड व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ अंडरलाइनिंग इज टू कैच द अटेंशन. आप सब अंडरलाइन करोगे तो क्या पढ़ूं, सभी पढ़ूं? नहीं. व्हाट यू शुड डू इज बी वेरी कॉन्शियस while you're writing an answer कि क्या underline कर. Underline mostly the headings. This one, Western disturbance. Example, price in tomatoes. I have consciously just bolded those parts. Accessibility to food, IMF. You need to underline headings. You need to underline examples. And try to consciously see that I will not underline more than 5 or 6 lines, 6 words. 5-6 words से ज़्यादा underline नहीं करूँगी. क्यों? Otherwise that will compromise my readability. Now, in the whole page, not more than that. Headings को छोड़ के सिर्फ examples ही underline करने या कोई fact underline करने. And not even the entire fact. Grammar को underline मत करो. 1.5%, 1 degree. Just the fact. Because that catches the examiner's attention कि सही जगह underline की. अब आपको बाद में करना है, लिखने के बाद एक full page लिखने के बाद underline करना है या लिखते लिखते करना है. That I rest on you. That depends on how your brain is functioning. I tend to underline that then only. Sometimes I have written it because underlining disturbs my flow of thinking. So first I write it and then I just underline it. But I have made sure that headings में उसी समय circle कर देती हूँ. Because I know that is giving me confidence. It looks also better. It looks better. So I leave it to you कि कब करना है. पेज खत्म होने के बाद करना है, साथ में करना है. That depends on how you practice. But what you should underline, please don't underline everything. Just underline the examples. Just underline the heading. Right? This one. Accessibility of the food as the climate change affects small and marginal farmers to more. Increase in 1 degree temperature can lead to 1.7% of growth and decline, leading to 25% of agriculture loss in tropical countries. So 1 degree temperature rise can lead to 1.7% decline. So 1 degree, 1.7 degree. That's it. Yes, the accessibility. So not necessarily, I'm saying heading. Headings को छोड़ दो. उसके बाद सिर्फ ये underline करो. उसके बाद सिर्फ टमेटो अंडरलाइन करो. उसके बाद सिर्फ इसको छोड़ दो. आई एम नॉट टेकिंग दिस एज अंडरलाइन, आई एम टेकिंग दिस एज बॉक्स. लीव इट, जस्ट अंडरलाइन द दिस वन. दिस इज क्लाइमेट बेस्ड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट अफेक्ट्स द एक्सेसिबिलिटी. यू शुड नो कि हाँ ये और ये पढ़ लेगा ना तो मेरी चीज खत्म हो जाए. सो अंडरलाइन इज दिस, अंडरलाइन इज दिस. व्हाट पीपल टेंड टू डू, दे विल टेंड टू अंडरलाइन लाइक दिस. Accessibility to food, 1 degree rise of temperature to 1.5 degree, 20 to 45% of the agriculture. तो पूरा underline कर लो. That's, you should know what is the purpose. तो point यही है कि boxing को छोड़ दो, heading की boxes को छोड़ दो. उसके बाद सिर्फ tomato, उसके बाद सिर्फ accessibility, उसके बाद सिर्फ Sudan. That is it. So you should know what to underline there. Right? Yes, tell me. Keywords, हाँ बहुत important है. Terminologies. Yes. No. नहीं, आपका confusion ये है. Your confusion is with respect to what is a keyword. That is the confusion. And what are the important words? Important word is climate change. One is, what is the keyword? Keywords basically are subject specific words. Now, when I am writing an economy answer, right, I would tend to write more about tax elasticity, tax base, about the fiscal consolidation, finance commission. That's the keyword related to subject. And what is an important word? An important word can be subject related words, or it can be not so subject related words like stability, utilization, affordability, accessibility. So that is important word, that is breaking. Keywords are mostly subject specific words. Okay. So whenever, and what is the purpose of keyword? The purpose of keyword is to give brevity to your answers. Now, if you understand this term, bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Now, this point is bioaccumulation and kya? Pollutants getting a part of the food chain, accumulating in food chain, like in plants. And then from plants, there is higher level of pollutant concentration as you move higher in the food chain. Like from plants, there would be more pollutant accumulation in animals, in the herbivores, from the herbivores, more in carnivores, from the carnivores, more in omnivores. That is bioaccumulation, plants में pollutant का जाना, और जैसे जैसे higher chain में जा रहे हो, magnify हो. That is biomagnification. I will not elaborate everything. The moment I use the word bioaccumulation, biomagnification, it gives an examiner the idea that what am I talking about. I need not elaborate it. That's the point of keywords. I can simply say that the rise of intolerance can lead to trust deficit, can lead to chaotic situation and fighting among people. Or simply I can say conflict related anomy, or for that matter the word, I just use the word anomy. Now if I just use the word anomy, it is understood that I am talking about a disruption in the law and order and conflicts among the people. I reduced the whole sentence into a word. That is the idea of keyword. आपके आंसर को ब्रेविटी मिलती है, आपको स्कोप मिलता है कि अब आप एग्जाम्पल लिखो और एक एक्स्ट्रा मार्क ले लो. That is what happens because you have to write at the end of the day what 150 words. So that is the idea of keyword. There have been people, those who are, what are they doing? They're just doing keywords, they're just writing keywords and substantiating with examples and having an edge over others. So keywords से ही पूरा खेल बन जाता. What is important word? Like important word would be art and culture. Art and culture को dimensions में divide करना is the important words, but to reduce it into a small thing, that is your keywords. Know what is the keyword. आप, how do you do that? Whenever you hear some important statement, try to think कि इसके लिए एक word है क्या कोई, some one important word, then you will get it, then you will get the idea of what is a keyword there. ठीक है, so subject specific words are keywords. The aim of the keywords is to reduce your elaboration into a one word, right? आपने एक लाइन में establish कर दिया, like your increasing temperature affects the stability due to the loss of biodiversity. आपने elaborate कर दिया example. Keywords, दो keywords को लिख के elaborate कर दिया ताकि आपका sentence में meaning है कि नहीं है समझ में आना चाहिए. Here, western disturbances, ठीक है, that's a keyword. Climate change related keyword, western disturbance lead to increase in the price of tomato. No, you will not explain what is western disturbance, low pressure at Mediterranean carried by subtropical westerly jet stream. No, it is understood. Western disturbance means that it affects the price of tomato, simple, or it affects the price of crops, example. That is it. So just that will make your sentence what? If your sentence is going beyond 10-15 words, 15 words से ज़्यादा अगर एक statement बन रहा है, there's something going wrong. 15 words, because see, it's like this. You have 150 words. 150 words. And let me tell you, you can't write beyond 150 words. It's like very simple exercise. You have 10 mark question, 10. You have 10 mark question, 10 question. You have 15 mark question, you have 10 question of 15 mark. For 10 marks, you have 150 words. That is, you have to write 1500 words because there are 20 questions. You have 250 words for 15 marks. That means you have to write 2500 words. Yani you have to write 4000 words in 3 hours. And you don't have to simply write. You have to think, you have to recall, you have to structure, you have to draw a diagram, you have to fill the OMR. Okay. Basically, in 3 hours, if you even Google what is the writing speed of a person in 1 hour, average speed of writing of a person in 1 hour, it will be around 1300 words. That means what? For 3 hours, you cannot write beyond 4000 words. It's not practically possible. It takes a toll on your body. जब इतना, that's the research that it is. अगर 4000 वर्ड ही लिख सकते हो 3 घंटे में, तो आप तो सोच रहे हो, रिकॉल कर रहे हो, लिख रहे हो. पॉइंट ये है कि I cannot go beyond 150 words. I cannot go beyond 250 words. Now let's break it. 150 words, 15 words, 20 words introduction, 20 word, 25 word introduction. Similarly, 20-25 words conclusion. 50 words gone. I have 100 words. If I have to write 7 points for a 10 marker question, I cannot move beyond 15 words. I cannot move beyond 20 words. So in case you are moving beyond 20 words, 30 words, वहाँ पे नहीं लिख पाओगे. यहाँ तो लिख लोगे because यहाँ पे you take 3 hours for one answer. ठीक है, वहाँ पे 3 hours में पेपर लिखना है. Point is 7 words लिखने, 15 word के ऊपर मैं नहीं लिख सकती. If I have to write 15 words for 1 point, I have to have keywords. I have to have the important frameworks. It is about keywords then. That's the whole point I am bringing. Because even physically 4000 words से ज़्यादा लिखना possible नहीं है. आपके दिमाग में, ब्रेन में बन चुका है 20 word introduction, 20 word conclusion. And it is not easy to actually do introduction in 20 words. वो brevity की practice लगती है. ठीक है, तो you will have to start learning that ways. Okay, so that's the idea there. The introduction there and the conclusion and other things. Moving on to the second question, that is about, okay, this is about the Shri Anna Millet, Global Millet Shri Anna Conference. That was the first question. Yes, tell me. FAO का सोर्स, यस यस, सोर्स याद नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है ठीक है, फाइन फाइन, बिल्कुल लिखो, क्या प्रॉब्लम है। अगर FAO याद नहीं आ रहा है तो ग्लोबल हंगर इंडेक्स रिपोर्ट लिखो, IFPRI रिपोर्ट लिखो। प्रिलिम्स का नॉलेज कब काम आएगा? सिर्फ आपसे जितना पूछेगा 100 क्वेश्चन उसके लिए नहीं आता है। प्रिलिम्स नॉलेज इज नॉट जस्ट important in your prelims examination. The facts that you learn in prelims, the reports that you learn in prelims, apply those in your mains answer writing. So I wrote FAO because I was knowing. If FAO has said, obviously global hunger index report would also say. Obviously your international food policy report index would also say. So write about it. There's nothing wrong there, right? Yes.
जो आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दिया वो 1 2 3 रोल्स का है, तो we put all those 100 in the body, or should we go
This one basically for 10 marker it is generally one part, and for 15 mark it is generally two parts. They generally tend to ask two parts, so you will have to use that in the body only. आपके पास लग्जरी नहीं है 20 वर्ड से ऊपर ज्यादा इंट्रोडक्शन करने की, चाहे 15 मार्क का हो चाहे 10 नंबर का. You don't have the luxury of moving beyond 20-25 words in the introduction, whether it's 10 mark question, whether it's a 15 mark question. In the conclusion it's the same, 15 20 25 words. 1/3 of the page it should get over. 1/3 page, half page, then your 1/3 page is introduction, nearly 1/3 or half page is your diagram, and then you start off body from the half page, from the 1/3 page that is left. आपको start करना है body first page से ही start हो जानी चाहिए. And you look at topper's copy. There's no harm in looking at topper's copy because they have cracked the examination. They've cracked the examination. You'll see a pattern. You'll see a visible pattern. 1/3 page is introduction. Point है कि one good point is you can't write as much. So even if you are able to write or generate 6 points, 7 points, just looking at the question, you are there. We need to have effort there. So my suggestion would be, I give that suggestion every time because I have learned the most by topper's copy. One full year till 2018 when I did not give my attempt, I just did that. अब पढ़ लिया है सब, अब लिखते कैसे हैं? Let's learn that. What are they doing that is clicking? What is that? And you will see that it's very simple answers, basics, keywords, examples, diagrams, demand of the question addressed, no subpart missed. I'll repeat. Demand of the question addressed, no subpart missed, keywords, example, diagram. And they are there. And they are doing it for 20 questions. It is not easy to do that for 20 questions. It is not easy. They are doing it for every question and not just one paper. They are doing it for all the 4 papers. That is not easy. So, learning that how to do is easy. But doing it for every answer and for 4 papers, that is difficult. So, you need to get to that level. It is एक हादी पेपर खराब होगा ही हो मेंस में, but despite that उसके बाद भी वो toppers बनते हैं. So that is the mind game. That's different. But let's not move there. Let's for now focus on competence part. That what we have to achieve, right? So this was about the first question. Moving on to the second question. Again, why is world today? Why is the world today confronted with the crisis of availability of and accessibility to fresh water resource? Basically, question is talking about why is the world today having fresh water crisis. Now, whenever I hear the word fresh water resource, 5 parameters. I just need 5 parameters. And then I have to tell that why is the world having this crisis. So it is asking about, one keyword is freshwater resource and the second one is crisis of the freshwater resource. Why? Okay, why crisis of the freshwater resource? What is freshwater resource? Rivers, glaciers, lakes, groundwater, rainwater. That's what it is. Ice caps, groundwater, lakes, atmospheric, rivers, and the rain water. That means these are the 5 parameters I have when I look at freshwater resource. Now, why is the world confronted with the freshwater resources? Simple, why? We don't store rainwater. Why? There's lack of storage of the rainwater. Example, Meghalaya has one of the largest amount of water, around 1100 centimeter of rainfall, but then they suffer drought every year. The best example, we don't conserve rainwater, suffering from rainwater crisis, freshwater crisis. About the rivers, क्या करते हैं हम? Pollution of rivers. Now, pollution of rivers because of dumping of waste, household waste, thermal pollution, etc. Example, just write an example. Talk about any example of river of India. But here it is not just India, it is world. So I'll have to give the example of world. Trap. कि world के examples पता होने चाहिए. Talk about Amazon river, talk about Mekong river. Geography के prelims का knowledge. Are we not polluting Mekong river? Possible नहीं है. Are we not polluting Amazon river? Possible नहीं है. So here rivers. Glaciers, melting of glaciers. Because now start using the technical terms. Melting of glacier or climate change and positive feedback loop, or climate change and reduction of albedo leading to melting of glaciers. ठीक है, फिर वो साइकिल बना सकते हो. मेल्टिंग हुआ ग्लेशियर का, ट्रैप्ड CO2 निकलेगा, ट्रैप्ड CO2 रिलीज, अगेन मेल्टिंग ऑफ ग्लेशियर्स एंड द crisis. This is positive feedback loop. I very smartly put 2 words. Positive feedback loop, I put albedo. I don't have to elaborate albedo now. Example, as per IPCC, Antarctic goes ice-free in summers by 2050. By 2050, Arctic ice would not be there in summers. Right now, you have permafrost. In some regions, there already is melting done. But तब तो पूरा Arctic में ice-free हो जाएगा. Ice नहीं रहेगी summers में by 2030, 2050. That's IPCC. So, melting of glaciers. Lakes, what are we doing? We are polluting lakes. Pollution of lakes. Example, Belandur Lake, other lakes, whatever lakes that you remember. Talk about lakes there in the outside India also, Africa में. Example था prelims में, Lake Fagubin. There was one question asked in prelims that which lake has turned into desert? Lake Oguta, Lake Fagubin, Lake Volta, Lake Chad. आपके दिमाग में रह जाती हैं कुछ चीजें, स्पेशली जो गलत होती. That will stay, right? Fagubin Lake, drying of lake. You did not remember them, but now I have the ability to use that in my answer. So Lake Fagubin. Talk about groundwater. 25% of the world's groundwater is exploited by India alone. India is the largest extractor of the groundwater in the world. So extraction of the groundwater. Simple, right? 10 words. Over extraction of groundwater. India is the largest. Green revolution belt bana diya. Just don't write examples of India, but this is what I call as brainstorming. If I would have written this answer, probably it would have taken 20 minutes. But I'm thinking about it before even reading the model answer. I'm not reading at the model answer. I'm just looking at and I'm thinking, I'm brainstorming. Now when I read the model answer, my brain is active because I have challenged my brain. कि पहले तुम बताओ. You first tell, now you will get active. It's a challenge. We love challenges, right? If you simply read, no, okay, देख लेते हैं, you will tend to remember less. Challenge yourself at every step. You will learn more. So, why is world today confronted with the crisis of availability of and access to fresh water resources? So, availability and the fresh water resource. It is easy. It's a repeated theme. Fresh water resource, land resources, fresh water resources. They keep on asking questions. Land resource and fresh water resource. So, it's an easy theme. Trap is, it's about world, not just India. It's about availability and accessibility. Give examples. As per IPCC introduction, I can start off with fact. I can start off with the definition of the fresh water. Fresh water definition is not very impressive here. क्या लिखोगे? Fresh water resources are the resources which are river, lakes, ground. Not very impressive. Start with a fact. Start with a why in news. So why news or fact? IPCC says there would be ice-free Arctic by summers by 2035. There are glacial melting, falling of the groundwater table. IPCC. I can use it. What do? Freshwater resource दिखाना तो है. I just make a pie chart. 97% of water. is in the oceans. 3% fresh water. Then I write the parameters. Imagine, no, your examiner is just looking at the introduction. He knows that you've given a fact. You know the parameters of fresh water resource. Even if you just looked at the introduction and your diagram and the headings, he knows that you are there. आपको पता है कि आपसे क्या पूछा जा रहा है. You know that what is being asked to you. So here you talk about ice cap. This is also prelims related fact only. The largest fresh water is in ice cap. The second one is groundwater. Then we have lakes, atmosphere and rivers. They've asked this question twice in prelims. One in 2013 or 14 and the other in 2021. Prelims, mains और interview अलग preparation नहीं है. Focus अलग हो जाता है. Just before the examination, the focus gets different because that's more factual. That's more analytical. That's different competence. This is different competence. But knowledge तो वही है ना. Fact आपको use करने आना चाहिए. ठीक है. So ice cap, you have groundwater, you have lake, you have atmosphere, you have rivers. ठीक है. So you can use that pie chart. You know that this is first, this is second. That's in the order. First, the largest repository is ice cap. The second one is groundwater. So we are going for freshwater crisis. We are going for freshwater crisis. You can, yes, tell me. बिल्कुल हो सकता है और भी आप दूसरा लिख सकते हो. You can talk about definition, you can talk about fact. कोई और fact है तो वो लिखो, बिल्कुल लिख सकते हो. ब्यूटी तो यही है, ब्यूटी है कि आप कितना क्रिएटिव बनाते हो अपने आंसर. That's the beauty. ठीक है. So this is about either you draw a pie chart or you draw this. This is also type of diagram. Diagram just not necessarily mean world map. It is also about pie chart. It's also about bar graph. और जितना अलग diagram बनाओगे, sometime world map, sometime pie chart, sometime bar graphs, sometime just a regional map, sometime the map of India. You know that you have diversity in your answers. So here, and pie chart works better for economy. Very nicely you can show. Bar charts works very good for economy. The trends, economic survey में रहता है, right? So that way. So here you have this. Why is it happening? Why is it? What are the issues? Melting of glacier, Himalayan glacier. Over extraction of groundwater, places like California. Over pumping है, places like California. California में dust balls बन चुके हैं. It has become so dry that there are dust bowls. It's called as dust bowls. Lot of sand ravaging the entire regions. So your Central Valley of California. Pollution of river. I have written rivers. You can talk about river of Malaysia, Indonesia, any river. We are polluting. हमने हर जगह तबाही मचाई है. ठीक है. So we are talking about this river. There's lack of storage of rain water. Example can be Meghalaya. South Africa में water crisis है. That's lack. 0 day. ठीक है. 0 day. You've seen the movie Fukre 3. ठीक है. तो 0 day आ रहा है. Okay. Shimla goes dry. Bangalore goes dry. The whole of the movie is focused on this. Delhi. You see one of the problem of Delhi is water crisis. Management. This one. That not only are we over exploiting freshwater resources, but our practices are also unsustainable. 90% of the groundwater is used for, 90% of the water is used for what? Agriculture. One sector is using as much of water. So that is why we have problem of water crisis. एक तो कम है. Salinity, fresh water की बात चल रही. ओके, बताओ salinity का क्या? Drying of बोलो ना, sea, drying of sea. बोल सकते हो, ठीक है. Yes, very good. Growing water intensive crops in dry regions. Water intensive crops like rice, sugarcane, cotton. पंजाब में नहीं होना चाहिए, but still we go for pollution. Green revolution. Yes, simple story क्या है? Story है एक तो पानी कम है, ठीक है. Just second. एक तो पानी कम है. हमारे यहाँ पे स्पेशली इंडिया हैज 4% ऑफ फ्रेश वाटर रिसोर्स, 17% ऑफ वर्ल्ड पॉपुलेशन. पानी कम है. जितना पानी है, स्टोरी हिंदी में ही अच्छी लगती है, ठीक है. तो एक तो पानी कम है, जितना है उसको कर रहे हो पोल्यूट, जो बच गया उसको कर रहे हो ओवर एक्सट्रैक्ट. रेन वाटर को हार्वेस्ट कर नहीं रहे हो. पानी कम है, बचा नहीं रहे हो, पोल्यूट कर रहे हो, ओवर एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहे हो, ठीक है. उसके बाद मिसमैनेज कर रहे हो. तो हो गई ना स्टोरी, पानी कम है, फ्रेश पॉपुलेशन फ्रेश, ठीक है, स्टोर नहीं करो रेन वाटर में, जो बच गया उसको करो पोल्यूट, चाहे रिवर हो चाहे लेक्स हो, ठीक है, ऊपर से किया है तबाही इन द फॉर्म ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, जितना है वो भी ड्राई हो रहा है। 5 पॉइंट्स आ गए, आई जस्ट नीड 5 पॉइंट्स फॉर नाउ। यस, हाँ, ओवर एक्सट्रैक्शन ऑफ ग्राउंड वाटर, ठीक है, ओवर एक्सट्रैक्शन ऑफ ग्राउंड वाटर, चाहे ड्राई रीजन्स हो चाहे डेजर्ट मार्जिन्स पे हो, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दोस, ठीक है। सो योर यस, बिल्कुल, वेरी गुड, करेक्ट करेक्ट, rise of urbanization से ज्यादा लिखो the model of urbanization, the kind of model of urbanization that relies on concretization. Yes, pollution, pollution, talk about pollution, pollution from agriculture, arsenic लिखो, fluoride लिखो, जो लिखो, वर्ल्ड के एग्जाम्पल देना, प्रीलिम्स का जो नॉलेज है उसको यूज कर, सारी रिवर्स पोल्यूटेड है, कुछ गलत नहीं होगा, इंटरनेट पे सर्च करोगे तो मिलेगा, ठीक है। वी हैव फॉर ऑल द प्रैक्टिकल पर्पस वी हैव डिक्लेयर्ड यमुना रिवर एज डेड रिवर, ठीक है, इट हैज लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ पोल्यूशन, ठीक है, स्पेशली दी स्ट्रेचेस ऑफ दिस दिल्ली के पास इट इज डिक्लेयर्ड एज डेड रिवर। So you have these as the parameters: climate change, population pressure, lack of storage of rainwater, pollution of rivers, pollution of lakes, over extraction of groundwater, melting of glaciers. So we are trying to, I am just trying to break it into two things. I am demarcating into components of fresh water, जो components है सबको बर्बाद किया, or I am creating a story that what you have done, right? So this is about the pollution and the other things, geopolitical conflicts and water scarcity. That's your PSIR part, that's your polity part, that's your paper 2 part. Which question are we talking about? This one, food security, fresh water resource, हमारे यहाँ पे किया है, we ourselves has done. If you know about Raleigh Siddhi, Anna Hazare, watershed management, Pani Foundation, Pani Panchayat, we ourselves have done. You can talk about those, definitely. No, no, you can definitely write. You can definitely write. You can also write it as a case study in your body. Just make one. Let's say this is my body, point 1, elaboration, example. Point 2, elaboration, example. I can simply make a case study. Down to earth वगैरह पढ़ते हो ना, उसमें ऐसा रहता है, right? You can simply make a case study also. We ourselves have examples of watershed management, conserving of the rainwater and changing the face of many villages. ठीक है? There's this village, Hiware Bazaar. Once it had lot of poverty, it had lot of social problems, it had problem of substance abuse, domestic violence, and then one vision of a person changed the face of the village. Rain water को conserve किया, check dams बनाए, there was harvesting of water, and that village is the village that has highest number of millionaires today. लखपति है, ठीक है? Point is that you can definitely write local examples, no harm there. ठीक? Okay. Where are we? We were at this fresh water crisis. ठीक है? We have fresh water crisis. What do you do? One of you said that हमारा model of urbanization खराब है. ठीक है? You can definitely write in the conclusion about change the model, change the way in which you go for urbanization. Change the way we go for urbanization. This is an example of sponge city. This is an example of a city in China. China has done what? In a city, they have created these pavements. Can you see? These pavements are permeable pavements. Permeable pavements, that is, they allow the water to go inside, infiltrate in the groundwater. One component. The second component is they have created wetlands, and they have put the forests, the trees, in the urbanization. Imagine in Delhi there is a green heart, there is a forest, urban forest. They have wetlands, they have forest, they have permeable pavement. Now what does this do? these forests, these wetlands, they can absorb excess rain if that comes. Once they are acting like a sponge, like the sponge absorbs the water, they can absorb, and it goes inside. The water goes inside the ground water. It becomes groundwater. इसके कारण क्या होगा? Suppose there is excessive rainfall, right? The wetlands है, forest है, they would absorb, and they would prevent the city from flooding, because otherwise if the city is made up of concrete, there would be less of percolation of the water, there will be more of the surface runoff. दिल्ली में कंक्रीट है, पानी अंदर नहीं जाएगा, सरफेस पे रहेगा, रोड है कि नाला है कि नदी है पता नहीं, ठीक है, वी डोंट नो व्हाट इज देयर. दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम इन दिल्ली. हियर इन गुड़गांव थोड़ी बारिश हुई, roads turns like rivers, right? That problem of urban flooding is stopped in China because of this, because they can absorb. Not only is the problem of flooding stopped, but also there is increase in the groundwater table. As there is increase in the groundwater table, the problem of scarcity of the water is also stopped. The city would not run dry. Pani rahega, groundwater. So it solves both the problems. It solves the problem of droughts, lack of availability of water, and it also solves the problem of flooding, because there are green hearts. So you can definitely write such examples that spawned city of China. And जब Bangalore में floods आए थे 2 years back, Bangalore is known for flooding, ठीक है, and Bangalore was once known as city of lakes, but now because the way we are urbanizing, we have encroached on the lakes, we've encroached on wetlands, we've encroached on forests. So as we've encroached on that, the Bangalore suffers the problem of flooding. Bangalore suffers the problem of water shortage. तो news में बहुत आया था that Bangalore should learn from China, should learn from spawn city of the China. So this is about the spawn city, ताकि fresh water को conserve कर सको, ground water table बढ़ा सको, climate change related solutions हैं, talk about Paris Agreement, talk about SDGs. There are watershed management, that what we talked about, example of रालेगांव सिद्धि, watershed management कर सकते हैं, ठीक है. This is the village of Anna Hazare. Watershed management. तो आपको कंजर्व कर रहे हैं फ्रेश वाटर. टू कंजर्व फ्रेश वाटर, स्टॉप पोल्यूशन, स्टॉप ओवर एक्सट्रैक्शन, गो फॉर क्लाइमेट चेंज अग्रीमेंट्स ताकि आपका मेल्टिंग कम हो ग्लेशियर्स का. टॉक अबाउट कंजर्वेशन ऑफ द रेन. फ्रेश वाटर में आप पर्पस मत, वाटर क्या करता है, वो ओशन है, दोनों में फर्क है. कोरल रीफ की सर्वाइवल के लिए आपको सैलिनिटी चाहिए अराउंड 30 पार्ट्स पर 1000, ठीक है. तो हम फ्रेश वाटर की बात कर रहे हैं, तो हम फ्रेश वाटर तक रहेंगे, ठीक है. पर्पस क्या था, सोल्यूशन किस कंटेक्स्ट में दे रहे हैं, फ्रेश वाटर क्राइसिस है, आप सोल्यूशंस बताओ, ठीक है. यस नहीं, हाँ, आप जब आप हेडिंग लिखते हो, ठीक है, तो आप हेडिंग क्यों लिख रहे हो, ताकि आप वर्ड्स बचा सको. आप अगर उसी हेडिंग को इफ यू विल ट्राई टू इलैबोरेट, देन यू आर डिफीटिंग द पर्पस. हाँ, so coastal water intrusion in Bangladesh, that means water, fresh water is getting, this compromises the fresh water along coast. Now you don't have to explain कि coastal water intrusion मतलब coast, पानी ocean से coast में जा रहा है, समझ आ गया. Coastal water intrusion means water from the ocean is moving to the coast, saline water. So we talk about compromise of salinity or affecting the fresh water resource. You need not elaborate the heading, समझ आ गया. Coastal water intrusion से, are you able to understand what is going on? Coastal water is intruding, coastal water is getting inside, so you need not elaborate this. ये तो purpose ही defeat हो जाएगा, right? जैसे कि इसको समझते हैं, ठीक है. जियोपॉलिटिकल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एंड वाटर स्कैर्सिटी. अब इसका ये मतलब है that there is geopolitical conflict leading to water scarcity. I will not elaborate this because that is self-explanatory. What I do, I will substantiate it. कैसे? Examples. Example: Yemen faces water scarcity. Yemen faces water scarcity because of ongoing conflict. Simple. Or for that matter, let's say this: पॉपुलेशन प्रेशर ऑन फ्रेश वाटर रिसोर्स। तो आप नहीं बताओगे कि ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन है तो ज्यादा पानी चाहिए नहाने के लिए, कपड़े धोने के लिए, नहीं, वो पता है पॉपुलेशन प्रेशर ऑन फ्रेश वाटर रिसोर्सेज। एग्जांपल, इंडिया हैज 4% ऑफ पॉपुलेशन विद 17% ऑफ द वाटर रिसोर्स। समझ आ रहा है ना कि 4% ही पानी है, 17% पॉपुलेशन है, पॉपुलेशन प्रेशर है। आप इलेबोरेट नहीं करो। मिसमैनेजमेंट ऑफ वाटर, आप इसको इलेबोरेट करो। मिसमैनेजमेंट यानी क्या? इंडस्ट्री में प्रॉब्लम, एग्रीकल्चर में प्रॉब्लम, देन यू elaborate. Agriculture uses 90% of the ground water. So you are using this heading to reduce the words. Mismanagement of water यानी पानी का सही इस्तेमाल नहीं कर रहे, तो पूरा लिखने से अच्छा that the fresh water is not being utilized properly. Mismanagement of water, reduce it, brief, ठीक है, and it should be self-explanatory. If you just read lack of storage of rain water, समझ आ रहा है? We are not storing the rain water. 5 keywords and 5-6 words. That gives you luxury to write more than 2-3 points. If you go on elaborating, you will end up using the words in 4 points. That's not what we want. We want a multi-dimensional answer. So, pollution of rivers. It's explanatory. अब इसमें लिखना है तो लिखो pollution of rivers by thermal pollution, industrial pollution, waste dumping. That is it. ठीक है? Example, over extraction of groundwater. अब इसमें लिखना तो लिखो due to water intensive crop in dry regions. When I say the word water intensive crop in dry region, समझ आ रहा है ना? Dry region में आप जहां जिसको ज्यादा पानी लगता है वो उगा रहे हो. Water intensive crop in dry regions. 5 words, 6 words. Write about green revolution, give an example, make a map, anything that you want to do to have an extra marks. ठीक? That's the answer for the fresh water crisis. Yes. Yes. See, accessibility would be more about the accessibility to the small and marginal farmers or the vulnerable population, and accessibility would be in the terms of developing countries. डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज को नहीं मिल पा रहा फ्रेश वाटर बिकॉज डैम्स बना दिए आपने रिवर्स पे, तो एक्सेसिबिलिटी नहीं कर पा रहे. दैट इज द टू थिंग. लिख सकते हैं वो. एक्सेसिबिलिटी में 3 से 4 पॉइंट्स के ऊपर बनेंगे नहीं. सो वेदर शुड आई मेक अ सेपरेट हेडिंग और नॉट डिपेंड्स ऑन मेरे पास पॉइंट्स कितने. if I can have 3 points, 4 points, I can make a heading. If I don't have more than 4 points, I have 1 point. Don't make a heading. Be very smart. एक साथ बना दो. So heading बनाए कि नहीं बनाए, should I make it 2 parts or 1 part, depends on how many points you. If you have 4 points, go for it. If you have 1 point, then don't go for it. साथ ही लिख लो. ठीक है, तो वो तब आ जाएगा जब आप क्वेश्चन पढ़ोगे कि एक्सेसिबिलिटी के लिए पॉइंट्स कितने. Not necessarily. You can talk about the steps taken. ये steps taken है. These are not solution, they are steps taken. चाइना का steps taken है. Watershed हमारा steps taken है. Government initiatives. So you can write summarization, government initiatives, steps needed और futuristic. अभी इतनी प्रॉब्लम है और आगे और प्रॉब्लम होने वाली है. शिमला, बैंगलोर, चेन्नई, दिल्ली, साउथ अफ्रीका में they are running dry. 0 day. Talk about futuristic, any type. Yes. कार्बन वाटर. हाँ यस एक्सेसिबिलिटी का प्रॉब्लम है डेफिनेटली. हम why are we so concerned China building dams in Brahmaputra? We are concerned. India building dams on Brahmaputra, Bangladesh gets concerned. मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा पानी. ठीक है, द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ कावेरी, कर्नाटका एंड तमिलनाडु वाला जो प्रॉब्लम है, वी आर कंसर्न, राइट? सो ऑब्वियसली क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड द अपर रिपेरियन स्टेट एंड द लोअर रिपेरियन स्टेट. Way forward and no, that's what I'm saying. No, if it is not asking, make way forward as your conclusion. मैंने तो हर जगह way forward as conclusion ही बनाया. हाँ, yes, so then you don't write way forward or just write way forward in one line. Term droppings. ठीक है, it can be anything. I have written way forward in conclusion. What people do is steps अलग से लिखेंगे, conclusion अलग से लिखेंगे. नहीं है scope. अगर नहीं पूछा है steps मत लिखो. ठीक है. Many of the model answers also give that. करूँ क्या? Knowledge ले लेती हूँ. I will try to use this as a knowledge exercise. ठीक है. So this was about some. Okay, we have time. So this was about some questions of geography. This is how is fjord formed. What are they? Why do they constitute some of the most picturesque areas of the world? So fjord formed, generally we were not expecting these questions because in landforms they are not asking many questions, but then they asked. This was something to test. UPSC does that. There is a question in your GS paper 3, care economy and monetization. Generally care economy you study in society, but they have asked in the paper 3. ठीक है, तो that UPSC does play. कई बार subjects के साथ they play up. Like they are asked about what International Maritime Organization. Many of them were like ये यहाँ क्यों पूछ लिया. There was a question on Juno mission in paper 1. तो वो करते हैं. Why do they do that? To test your pressure handling skills there. Do we have the presence of mind and then not lose our head because everybody is in the same boat, or we are panicking? So they do that. तो ये क्वेश्चन थोड़ा अनएक्सपेक्टेड था. फ्योर्ड क्या है एंड व्हाई डू दे कॉन्स्टिट्यूट सम ऑफ द मोस्ट वर्ल्ड्स पिक्चरेस्क एरिया ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. ऐसे क्वेश्चन में ना, इवन इफ यू राइट समथिंग, बिकॉज इट वाज एन अनएक्सपेक्टेड क्वेश्चन, यू गेट एन एज. सो यू राइट समथिंग अबाउट इट. इतना ही लिख लोगे दैट ग्लेशियल वैली है, सबमर्ज्ड ग्लेशियल वैलीज हैं. ठीक है, सबमर्ज्ड ग्लेशियल वैलीज फाउंड अलोंग द कोस्ट ऑफ नॉर्वे. It is because of the erosional purpose, submergence of the U-shaped valley. That will also serve. ठीक है, purpose. क्योंकि उस समय उतना ही याद है. What are basic fjords? Right now you can know that. So those who know, they can attempt. You need to write examples. Examples मत भूलो. Geography is about study of the places. So write examples. It's all the coast of glaciated. You have Norway, you have Finland, you have Sweden. World map. You have Canada, you have Alaska, you have Russia. You have fjords along that Arctic Circle. You can have the fjords along the Arctic Circle there. But don't give it a priority. If you don't know, ये वाले क्वेश्चन के जो 7 minutes हैं, just last के 3 minutes just before you complete the paper, keep it. Rest 4 minutes utilize somewhere else. If you don't know, many of times you will see that these type of questions come, especially those if you have your geography optional. Geography optional generally question number 1A, पहला ही question, they would try to give a very difficult question. So हर बॉल पे छक्का नहीं मारना, कुछ को डक करना होता है. ठीक है, you win, but I will not succumb to your sledging there. I will not succumb to sledging. 3 minutes डालेंगे, last के 3 minutes, that is what I have. दो constraints हैं. There are 2 constraints while you write your mains examination. One is time constraint, the other is space constraint. So utilize these constraints really well. मतलब think like you are a miser, that you will not spend your time into something that is not productive. So I will not spend my time. I will spend last 3 minutes just because मेरे को satisfaction होना चाहिए paper complete किया है. ठीक है, that's a big psychological satisfaction that I've done my paper. So I will give last 2-3 minutes to this, whatever I know. Just the keywords: glacial valleys, submerged glacial valleys, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Alaska, diagram, world map. थोड़ा आधे पन्ने का बना के आना इसमें. ठीक है, ताकि उसको लगे कि हाँ फिल भी किया है पेज. Do that. It is about psychology. And that comes when you write mains. 2-3 mains, you know that you are on. कि हाँ अब खेलना कैसे है. इतना पता है कि how do you open. नहीं, either you write in test papers as a practice. mains ही लिखना ना, मैं थोड़ी कह रही हूँ UPSC का दो. यहाँ लिखो, यहाँ पे mains लिखो. Give yourself that. यहाँ के mains पे हम करेंगे 2-3 full sets of papers. You know how to play it then, right? So here, don't consider that I'm saying कि 4 attempt दो. No. Here, practice here. The more you practice here, the less you bleed there. ठीक है. So here you have fjord. These are nothing but deep inlets at the sea. ठीक है. So whenever there's a glacial landforms, you know that you have U-shaped valley. So U-shaped valley, when on the coast and water gets inside that U-shaped valley, submerged glaciated valleys are fjords. Basically, there are 2 types of coast. One is submerged coast, that goes inside the water. The other is emergent coast that comes from the water. Submerged coast can be of various type. Submerged glaciated coast. Glaciated coast got submerged. Submerged river coast. In India, western coast of India is submerged river coast. So the submerged glaciated valleys are called as what? Fjord. जो glaciated valleys submerge हो जाएंगे उसको आप fjords बोलोगे. So what are fjords? Basically, when the glacier moves down the slope very slowly over time, it carves a valley and that forms a depression. This carving of the valley and submerged coast is called as fjord. Generally, it is more deeper because glacier has carved it. It is more deeper than the open seas. That ज़्यादा deep होता है, ठीक है? So they form the inlet of the sea there. Where do you have them? You have them along this indented coast that you can see. This indented coast, very irregular coast, is nothing but your this one. So if you look at your atlas, you will see this. You will see this uneven, irregular coast. Where do you have glaciers or glaciated valleys? You have along the Arctic Circle. Along the entire Arctic Circle, Alaska, you have Labrador, you have towards Greenland, you have Iceland, you have Norway, sometimes Finland and Sweden, also towards this part, also towards the southern part. So these are your fjord coast, irregular coast, indented coasts. Okay, what are fjords? Why do they make picturesque? Why do they make picturesque area? One of the students just wrote an answer to me, WhatsApp पे, beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. सुंदर हमें लगता है तो सुंदर है, इसलिए picturesque है. You don't do that. बताएं. Somebody? Yes. Map. Okay, you want to see where is it and how is it? This is about your fjord coast. Where do you have? You will get the PDF. क्यों? मतलब why so sad? You will get it. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि लिखना नहीं है. अच्छा, where? Oh. I'm sorry I made that statement. I'm sorry. भूल जाओ. मुझे नहीं पता. Don't ask me about logistics. Yes. Fjord समझाए? ठीक. What is fjord? Fjord is basically, suppose you have glaciated landforms. Okay. In a glaciated landforms, you can have the hanging valleys and you can have a main valley. Okay. Glacier create landforms in the highlands. As the glacier is there, let's say this was the whole of the mountainous slope. The glacier is moving. It is creating some of the hanging valleys, and it is creating, because it's such a big size, it creates a U-shaped valley. Now imagine this to be on the coast. Imagine this to be on the coast. Here, okay. Imagine this to be on the coast. The whole of the glacier is moving down slope. Okay. As it is moving down slope here, it will create this valley, U-shaped valley, and this U-shaped valley has submerged. Water is there. It is filled with the water. So what do you have? You have mountainous cliffs here. Mountainous cliff, a very steep slope of the mountain here, and you have not so regular coast. It's not straight coast because the glaciated have made your coast curvy linear or curvatures बढ़ा दी. So what is this? What do you call such type of coast? Such type of coast you called as fjord. So basically जो submerged coast, submerged glaciated valleys है, what do we call this? We call them as fjord. Where will you find? You will find them where you have glaciers and submergence taking place. So where has the glaciers submergence taken place? It has taken place along the Alaska, along Labrador, along Greenland, Iceland, your Norway region, along Chile. The glaciers have submerged valleys here, right? So that's about the glacier. Why are they so picturesque? Because it's like this. You have ice, you have mountain, you have coast. So it's like all the different ecosystem that adds up to this. You have towering cliffs, you have good waterfalls, you have diverse wildlife है, glaciated region है, mountainous region है, coast है. अगर दो अलग type के landforms दिखते हैं, like for example deserts on the coast, it's very beautiful because it's two opposite world at the same place. If you have glaciers and you have oceans, it appears very beautiful. Why is Kashmir so beautiful? Especially if you go to Dal Lake. you can see the reflection of the mountainous in the lake. तो पता ही नहीं होता है कि sky देख रहे हो कि lake पे lake देख रहे हो. So it's very beautiful there. Towering cliffs, diverse landscapes, you have good waterfalls, you have diverse wildlife. That's about this. You have homestead, village homestead, cultural villages हैं. That's add to the beauty. इसमें एग्जाम्पल्स नहीं भी पता है, कंट्रीज के भी नाम पता है, so that is right. So here you have some of the places where you can go for it. जहाँ पे क्लिफ है, जहाँ पे पानी है, वहाँ पे you have this paragliding, you have hiking, you have skiing. गोवा क्यों ब्यूटीफुल है? बीच, वाटर, माउंटेन. Do you like beaches or mountains? We like both. We like गोवा. ठीक है, तो it's beautiful there. बताएं. इंपॉर्टेंस बेस्ड कंफ्यूजन. ठीक है, आप स्टेप्स नहीं लिख पाओगे गवर्नमेंट, समराइज कर लो, या तो वे फॉरवर्ड भी नहीं हो पाएगा, फ्यूचरिस्टिक इफ पॉसिबल. सर्टेन टाइप ऑफ कंक्लूजन कैन ऑल्सो बी इंपॉर्टेंस बेस्ड कंक्लूजन दैट यू टेंड टू राइट अबाउट द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ इट. लैंडफॉर्म्स में इंपॉर्टेंस कैन बी वन. if there's a question on delta, importance of delta, importance of cliff, importance of this. इसका importance क्या है? लैंडफॉर्म्स में जनरली ऐसे एंड कर सकते हो. they are picturesque beauty, they support a lot of tourism and adventure sports if that is possible. तो importance based conclusion लिख सकते हो, स्पेशली लैंडफॉर्म का. नहीं समझ आता है ना, तो या तो समराइज या तो importance can also be a very easy way of concluding. In case they are not asking about the importance in the body, you write about the importance in the conclusion. Yes. Importance बता दो. Fjord coast का importance बड़े सुंदर है, ठीक है, पिक्चरिस्क ब्यूटी है, यहाँ पे आप एडवेंचर स्पोर्ट्स कर सकते हो, अलग अलग वाइल्ड लाइफ मिलती है. Importance based conclusion. Ecology, yes, definitely. Ecology can be one way forward or one type of conclusion. Ecology, SDG, talk about that. Fjord, see, very simple. You can track every question to current affairs. Backtrack करने के लिए सारे questions को current affairs से track कर सकते हो. But हाँ, कह तो रही हूँ, you can drive every question to, you can connect every question to current affairs. But point is that कि I can read current affairs and I have to read because I have to be a wise person. I'm not saying no for current affairs, read it. But to say कि current affairs में था इसलिए पूछा, तो ऐसे तो current affairs में delta भी होता है. Why not delta? ऐसे तो current affairs में wetlands होते ही हैं, बढ़ते जा रहे हैं 75. ठीक है, they asked in paper 3 also wetlands. So you can track every question to current affairs that. But what was the purpose? What my thing is, they were trying to just test कि will you be able to do that? They do that. ये करते हैं. They will ask you about, let's say, dead zone, or they'll ask you about biological desert. अब fjord पूछ लिया, biological desert बोलेंगे. What is biological desert? Basically dead zones in the oceans. अब क्या ये न्यूज में नहीं है? Obviously because of climate change, lack of oxygen, lack of reduction of dissolved oxygen, कुछ dead zones बन गए oceans में जहाँ पे life possible ही नहीं है. That is also there in current affairs. Everything can be traced back to current affairs. Point is, don't look at the question like that. Look at कि हाँ ये छेड़ने के लिए क्वेश्चन है, ठीक है. I will not lose my mental calm there. ठीक है, that's the idea. No. Okay. Why is southwest monsoon winds called as पुरवैया? अब ये क्वेश्चन, ठीक है, they asked पुरवैया. अभी पुरवैया पूछ लेगा, कल कुछ और पूछ लेगा, तो you will say this also current affair. नहीं, certain questions are there to test कि वहां पे कैसे करते हो. किसी को नहीं आता. Nobody thought कि ये पूछ लेगा. Once in blue moon somebody had thought, am I able to attempt it? I have to not be perfectionist in this question, but I have to be good enough than you. You are my competitor. ठीक है. So here, what is southwest? Why is southwest monsoon winds called as Purvaiya in Bhojpur region? भोजपुर पता होना चाहिए कहाँ है. भोजपुर songs, भोजपुरी songs के कारण ही पता होना चाहिए. ठीक है. How has this directional seasonal wind system influenced the cultural ethos of the place? नहीं पता. पुरवैया कैसे कल्चर को इन्फ्लुएंस करती है, स्पेसिफिक एग्जाम्पल नहीं पता, बट इतना पता है कि कल्चर क्या होता है. कल्चर इज फूड, फेस्टिवल, सॉन्ग्स, परफॉर्मिंग आर्ट्स, डाइटरी पैटर्न, दैट इज कल्चर. इतना तो लिख सकती हूँ, मॉनसून कैन इन्फ्लुएंस फूड, मॉनसून कैन इन्फ्लुएंस सॉन्ग्स, मॉनसून कैन इन्फ्लुएंस डांस. आई डोंट नो स्पेसिफिक एग्जाम्पल्स, ठीक है, बट एटलीस्ट आई नो दैट कल्चर क्या है. वो लिख के आएंगे, नहीं लिख के आएंगे इसमें एग्जाम्पल्स. आई एम ऑल प्रो कि एग्जाम्पल्स लिखो, सब्सटैंशिएट करो. नहीं पता इसमें नहीं लिखेंगे, 2 नंबर कटेंगे, 1 नंबर कटेगा, ठीक है. I will get 50% of marks. I don't want 60% of marks in this answer. I want 50% of marks. 50% is good to go. How will I score an edge? I will score an edge by giving him a very beautiful, him or her a very beautiful diagram. पूर्वैया का diagram अच्छे से बना के आएंगे. Distribution of southwest monsoon winds वो अच्छे से बना के आएंगे कि हाँ नहीं पता but effort तो मारा. ठीक है, that's the whole idea. So what is southwest monsoon winds? Why it's called as Purvaya? The first part is easier, and how this directional seasonal winds affect the cultural ethos of the region. The first part is easy. The second part requires an effort. Okay, now how do you introduce? इसको introduce कैसे करें? Southwest monsoon winds को Purvaya कहते हैं और cultural ethos को कैसे influence करता है? How do I introduce? Definition करें, fact करें, कैसे करें? Importance keep in the conclusion. ठीक है, mostly. ठीक है, फाइन, ओके. वैसे लिखोगे कि कल्चर को इन्फ्लुएंस करता है, फूड को इन्फ्लुएंस करता है, इकोनॉमी को इन्फ्लुएंस करता है. ओके, एरिया में, ठीक है, फाइन, ठीक है. देखो आप क्या कर रहे हो, यू आर सेइंग आई एम राइटिंग अबाउट इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ मॉनसून, देन आई एम सेइंग व्हाई इज मॉनसून कॉल्ड एज पूर्वैया, देन आई एम राइटिंग हाउ इट इज इन्फ्लुएंस कल्चरल इथोस, देन कंक्लूजन में क्या लिखोगे फिर? इंपॉर्टेंस ही रिपीट हो रहा है ना, इंपॉर्टेंस लिख रहे हो और कैसे बेनिफिट करता है, बात तो वही कर रहे हो, इंपॉर्टेंस ही बोल रहे हो. इमेजिन आई एम अ डायरेक्टर, मुझे पता है कि मॉनसून पूर्वैया होती है इन दी भोजपुर रीजन. सो देयर इज डेफिनेटली अ फैक्टर दैट इज मेकिंग साउथ वेस्ट मॉनसून ईस्टर्ली इन नेचर. कोई फैक्टर होगा ना जो साउथ वेस्ट मॉनसून को ईस्टर्ली बनाता है. तो आई एम राइटिंग, I can either start about what is monsoon. Monsoon are seasonal winds, modified trade winds. ठीक है, that is reversing wind. It is derived from the word मौसम. Basically definition हो गई. Monsoon is मौसम, reversing winds है, modified trade winds है. That is introduction definition. या तो फिर I can also start off, think like a storyline. There are many factors that influence monsoon. The direction of monsoon winds is affected by orography, local pressure differences, माउंटेनस रीजन. तो मैंने फैक्टर्स बता दी, पहले ही बता दी कि मॉनसून बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स से उसका डायरेक्शन, इंटेंसिटी इन्फ्लुएंस होता है. फिर दिखा दिया मॉनसून विंड्स के बारे में कि कहां से कैसी डायरेक्शन चलती है. देन आई टेल व्हाई इज मॉनसून कॉल्ड एज पूर्वैया इन भोजपुर region. Then I say how monsoon influences the cultural region, and then I conclude with the importance of monsoon. बहुत important. Story समझ आ रही है? पहले आप ट्रेलर दे रहे हो कि बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स हैं जो मॉनसून को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं. Then you are showing that factors in the diagram. Then you are telling that why is monsoon influenced by, why is monsoon called as पूर्वैया in the Bhojpur region. So I can start off with that कि because मुझसे पूछ रहे south west monsoon is called as पूर्वैया, यानी something has happened that has changed the direction. Then what are the factors that change the direction of monsoon? What are the factors that affects the intensity of the monsoon? So here first part is easy. I can start off with that the direction of monsoon winds. I directly hit to direction. Direction of monsoon wind is influenced by relief factors, mountainous relief, topography. It is influenced by shift of ITCZ. This gives me a luxury, right, to show my geography, to show that key terms. I know about relief, I know about ITCZ. ये मुझे luxury दे देता है कि आप keywords डालो. ठीक है, मॉनसून का इंपॉर्टेंस वो तो मैं कंक्लूजन में वैसे भी लिखूंगी. सो ITCZ, position of subtropical westerly jet stream, tropical easterly jet stream. This is what makes your answer content heavy. That is giving me a luxury. That direction is influenced by ITCZ, subtropical westerly jet stream, tropical easterly jet stream, and relief parameters. Monsoon is orographic in nature. The monsoon है, the distribution of monsoon is affected by what? Orography. Western Ghats, Aravalli, इससे, ठीक है. And the path is influenced by the mountainous topography as shown below. अब मैंने मॉनसून का बता दिया, यहाँ साउथ वेस्ट है, यहाँ साउथ वेस्ट है, यहाँ जाते जाते it gets deflected by the mountainous topography, by Arcanioma, Peguyoma, and then पूर्वांचल, अर्कनियोमा, पेगुयोमा, यहाँ डिफ्लेक्ट होती है और यहाँ पे एक ब्रांच जाती है. If I talk about monsoon, see you have to make your answer content heavy. You have to use those term dropping कि मैंने पढ़ाई की है, मुझे आंसर लिखने आता है, मुझे समझता है कि आपको कैसे इम्प्रेस करना है. ठीक है. So if I talk about the distribution of the monsoon here, if you talk about the distribution of monsoon, okay, the distribution of monsoon is what? Monsoon can be, is basically southwest monsoon. It can be influenced by there is one branch, Arabian Sea branch, there is one branch, Bay of Bengal branch. ठीक है. If there would have been no Purvanchal, Arcanioma, Peguyoma, the branch would have not turned. ठीक है. So I can write southwest, I can write Arabian Sea branch, I can write Bay of Bengal branch, I can write deflection by Peguyoma, Arcanioma, and then I can write Purvaya. सिंपल. साउथ वेस्ट मानसून है, टर्न होके पूर्वैया. एग्जाम्पल अगर वो ये भी देख लेता है, अगर आपको थोड़ा और ब्यूटीफुल बनाना है तो यू कैन टॉक अबाउट more rainfall greater than 250 centimeter. If you want to further add some more, you can talk about 100 centimeter iso height. उसके बाद आपकी श्रद्धा कि आपको कितना बनाना है. एटलीस्ट बेसिक मैंने साउथ वेस्ट मूव पूर्वैया में बता दिया बिकॉज आई शो दी डिफ्लेक्शन. Your diagram should be more than being beautiful diagram कि एकदम शेप बना रहे हैं इंडिया का, उतना टाइम नहीं है. It should be neat. It should be labeled. Labeling is something that gives your examiner a perspective of that you know how to draw a diagram. It should be neat. Don't color, don't pencil से या पेंसिल को काटो मत कि हम स्केचिंग कर रहे हैं तो ऐसा लगता है काट दिया. Don't do that. Don't sketch it. Make dots. Make, in case you have a different color pencil, you can use that. ठीक है. You can carry one color pencil or two color pencil, brown and blue. Just brown and blue. That will give an edge. So here this. Monsoon से हाँ फैक्टर तो ठीक है, बट फैक्टर पूर्वैया वाला जो फैक्टर है दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ डिफ्लेक्शन. हाँ, दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ अर्कनियोमा, पेगुयोमा. यहाँ कहाँ ग्लेशियर्स तो यहाँ है. वही तो मैं कह रही हूँ कि I am saying monsoon is influenced by many factors. It is also influenced by melting of glaciers. It is also influenced by ENSO. It is also influenced by El Nino, La Nina. The direction change specifically for Bhojpur region is because of deflection. Is because of the deflection of the Bay of Bengal branch. That's what I'm saying. तो पूर्वैया क्यों कहते हैं? Because वहाँ पे mountainous topography. If I talk about India में monsoon is majorly governed by mountain. Why is there more rainfall on the western side of Western Ghats? Why is Aravalli? Why is only foothills of Aravalli have rainfall? Why is Aravalli dry? Because वो parallel चली जाती है. यहाँ पे ज्यादा बारिश है, यहाँ पे कम है because change होता जा रहा है. ठीक है, away from the coast होता जा रहा है. यहाँ पे mix हो जाती है branches. यहाँ पे you don't have as much of rainfall, peninsular plateau, because of the leeward side of the Western Ghat. ठीक है, तो इट इज मेजरली माउंटेनस. इन हमारी मानसून जो है ज्यादातर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ माउंटेन से गवर्न होती है. ठीक है. सो व्हाई इज पूर्वैया? व्हाई इज पूर्वैया? हियर यू एम ट्राइंग टू बेसिकली शो दिस, देन दिस. ठीक है. गैप्स में गैप्स इट एंटर्स, यू कैन शो दिस डायग्राम. मानसून एंड कल्चरल फैक्टर्स. पोस्ट हार्वेस्ट फेस्टिवल्स है हमारे यहाँ पे. जो हार्वेस्ट फेस्टिवल्स है, द हार्वेस्टिंग ऑफ द क्रॉप्स, cutting of the crops and giving it to sun god or rain god, it is influenced by what? Monsoon. ठीक है. तो majority of the post harvest festival you will see is influenced by the monsoon. Cultural factors. It is the food habits, eating of rice, eating of wheat. You see West Bengal, there's more monsoon, people eat rice. Bihar, rice eating culture. Western UP, wheat eating culture. Punjab, Haryana, wheat eating culture. जितना दूर हो रहा है उतना monsoon कम हो रहा है, उतना आपका कौन से क्रॉप्स, व्हाट क्रॉप्स विल यू ग्रो, What crops will you eat? That depends on monsoon. Dance, Bhojpuri dance, rhythmic है, ठीक है, because monsoon drops are also rhythmic. So rhythmic है symbolizes it will not go wrong, ठीक है. You have music, you have Kajari music. अगर नहीं पता है example, then also it's fine. सावन गीत है, you have and cropping pattern. Yes. बिल्कुल क्यों नहीं कर सकते? सावन गीत. Your monsoons are governed by music or dance. That is governed definitely by your rainfall. Eating of crop. If you would know that in winter times there's a lot of celebrations. There's a lot of celebration because it gives a lot of leisure to have a bonfire and then celebrate. ठीक है, तो न्यू ईयर्स के टाइम से पहले और न्यू ईयर टाइम के तक it is about your New Year's, then it is about your Lodi, then it's about some other festival. It's the whole 15 days. You'll see that there's festivals and festivals. So winters, your seasons do connect with the eating, with the your, what do we say, performing arts. They do connect there. ठीक है. So this is about your culture. क्या है? Culture is about festival. Culture is about food habit. Culture is about dance. Culture is about music. Culture is about cropping pattern. 5 points. I just need that much, and you are good to go. Right? नहीं पता examples, but इतना तो पता है कि influence. Conclusion that then you can talk. Monsoon arrival is not just meteorological but also cultural event. As you can see about the practices of the people of this one. Importance लिख लो. Introduction में importance लिखने से अच्छा यहाँ पे लिख लो कि monsoon हमारी lifeline. ठीक है. Economy की बात करो. Talk about economy. Talk about stock market. Talk about culture. Talk about exports of agriculture products. That is our lifeline there. This is about monsoon. This was major part of geography. Now coming on to part of society. That now society as a topic. Let me give you a brief introduction about society as a topic. Society as a topic is little bit, technical. To the extent when I say technical, at least you should know the keywords. At least you should know the keywords. Now you should understand when I say caste, let's say caste system. So what is caste system? Vernacular system, varna system. अच्छा बताओ. Social stratification. ये technical term है. It is a social stratification. It's a method in which your society is stratified. It is a hierarchical system which is based on the concept of pollution and purity. So I have very smartly used 3 terms: social stratification, hierarchical in nature, based on the concept of pollution and purity. So अब caste system कभी भी पूछे, I will always write this definition. So point is, for you to score an edge in society answers, you need to have that keywords. You need to know the keywords. So that becomes a little technical that way. It's not technical in understanding. Like geography is technical in understanding कि कहाँ घूम रही है, क्यों ऐसे घूम रही है, हवा high pressure से low pressure क्यों जा रही है. It's technical in understanding. But society is technical in the concept of using those keywords. ठीक है. So that way you'll have to know, especially society के keywords पता होने चाहिए. But it's a very easy subject. It's a very scoring subject. Because why it's so scoring? Because if you look at the topics of society are what? Salient features of Indian society. You all understand, no? The features of Indian society. We live here. हमें पता है कि हमारी society के क्या अच्छे features हैं, क्या negative features हैं. What is good feature of our society? Tolerant society, pluralistic society. ठीक है. वासुदेव कुटुंबकम में हम believe करते हैं. World as one big family. G20 का theme भी रहा है. Now 21. So world as one big family. So these are good features of my society. But then there are some features which are not so good about my society. There is casteism, there is hierarchy, there is concept of pollution and purity still ingrained. There are primordial identities. We are influenced by our caste, race, language, ethnicity. So there are primordial identities that we attach to. There is patriarchy. Yes, there is patriarchy. So certain good features, certain not so good features. हाँ, मैं इसकी बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, मैं सब्जेक्ट की बात कर रही हूँ. I'm talking about the subject. I have not touched upon the topic. I am just introducing the subject for you. So I am telling you that how do you score? You should know the keywords of the subject. And I said this subject is an easy subject. Why is this subject an easy subject? Because what defines easiness is the type of questions that they have been asking, themes are repeated, and the topics that are there. Society में 10 topic है. There are 10 topics and questions कितने आते हैं? 5 से 6 topics तक question आते हैं. So if you have in those 10 topics, if you have proper introduction, if you have proper keywords, if you have proper dimensions, then you are on, then you are simply on. Some facts, some data there. उतना अगर एक बार बना लिया तो आपको उसको यूज करना है बस. So that ways it's a easy topic, it's a manageable topic because 75 mark का आता है, syllabus छोटा है, syllabus is less. So that is why it's an easy one. So let me just tell you what you need. You need some keywords there, you need some data there. Keywords is something that will give you an edge there. Looking at this question, that do you think marriage as a sacrament, do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? It's like, what are the factors that are changing the outlook towards marriage? What are the factors in the modern India that are, or do you think as a sacrament it is losing its value? Pehle marriage, initially marriage was seen. Acha, in society first. Society introduction, you can start off with definition. Definition is a easy way for starting a society answers. Definition is the easy way for starting of the ethics answers. It's a very easy way कि आप definition से start करो. So definition से start कर सकते हैं. आपके पास definition होनी चाहिए. Marriage की, divorce की, cuddling की, because they asked a question on cuddling of child. So you should have some definitions ready. Okay, and that definitions you have to put. Try to always replicate the definitions. Definitions मन से मत बनाना. Caste की. Try to replicate the definition. Try to use the keywords in the definition. So when we say marriage as a sacrament, marriage as a ritual, marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in the modern India. I can start off with the definition of marriage. I can then say that marriage was considered as a sacrament. What are the factors? मतलब आपसे simple question है. आपको क्या लगता है? Do you think that marriage as a sacrament is losing its value? And if yes, why? Because of the influence of Western ideas. Link it to marriage. कैसे? Marriage is, rather than seeing marriage as a dharma, ठीक है? Marriage is seen as a social contract. Basically, in the ancient time, we had no choice कि शादी करनी है कि नहीं करनी है. Marriage, there are four आपके जो life cycles होती हैं, 4 phases होते हैं. That is, you have what? You have brahmacharya, then you have grihastra, then vanprastha, and then sannyas. आपका transition from brahmacharya to grihastra cannot be done. Brahmacharya means indulging in your studies, brahmacharya, not indulging in the other sexual activities. From your transition from brahmacharya to grihastha ashram will only happen when you go marriage. तभी ही आप marriage से ही आप family start करेंगे. That means choice नहीं है. अगर एक आश्रम से 4 ashrams, if you have to transit to the next ashram, which is your dharma, which is your duty, you have to marry. And in this transition, who helps you? It is the wife that helps you. इसलिए क्या कहते हैं? धर्म पत्नी. आप अपना धर्म निभाओगे, आपको धर्म पत्नी support करेगी. And you have to transit. So this was the idea of marriage. This was the idea that married people were considered equivalent to God. Marriage was seen as a method, as basically one of the primary aim was what? Reproduction. Okay? You complete your family, you complete your dharma, you do your duties. Dharma patni aapko support karegi. That was the idea of marriage. But today, what is marriage? Today, marriage is about social contract. That it is not, it's about you and me entering into a social contract wherein you have some obligation, I have some obligations, and we have some expectations from each other. So, ab marriage as not a sacrament. Marriage is no longer about 7 जन का साथ. 7 दिन भी हो जाएं तो क्या बात, ठीक है? So that's the way we look at marriage. बताइए, somebody say something. Yes.
तरीके से आंसर रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं। In contrary, it is the approach that is taken.
कंक्लूजन के पहले क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है ना, डू यू थिंक, तो आप दोनों पार्ट लिखोगे, आप दोनों पार्ट लिखोगे. यू विल ऑल्सो राइट द अदर पार्ट. डू यू थिंक इट इज लूजिंग its value as a sacrament? So yes, there are factors which is making marriage lose as a sacrament its value. The one factor that has been told is modernization, the outlook towards marriage. Rather than dharm, it is about the social contract. One. The second idea is about individualism. There is greater individualism. So it's not about that duty. It is about choice. Choice in the form of, choice of the partner, the sex of the partner. Okay, it's also about whether I want to marry somebody else or not. Sologamy. Okay, I want to marry myself, nobody else. Sologamy. There was a first sologamy there, and she also divorced herself. ठीक है, तो खुद से भी शादी की और खुद से डिवोर्स भी ले लिया. ठीक है, तो I married myself, I divorced myself. That's sologamy. Yes. Yes, रिचुअल्स की बात करते हैं, बिल्कुल. Yes. Self respect marriage. हाँ, yes, okay. ठीक है, ठीक है, yes. Correct. हाँ. Yes, you will have to write that. कि initially when we say marriage was considered as what? There was a lot of rituals attached. Rituals like, you have rituals like wife has seen seven life union. You have rituals like this one, Saptapadi, that you have to take 7 circumambulation. There was fire, Homa, okay, the sacred fire. That was associated with marriage. But now it's not about this. Many of the marriages, there are not rituals attached. You go to court marriage, you do the marriage. So rituals ka bhi importance come on. So here, what is a marriage? Basically, it's a social and culturally union, recognized unions between 2 or more individuals. We recognize that union between 2 or more individuals that establishes rights and obligations between you and me, and it is often seen as changing. Firstly, it was solemnized by these rituals, but now the rituals have taken a back seat, right? Now it is not about the ritual. Now it's not about rituals. It's about something else. Please tell me. I understand. I was actually there here. We are mostly talking about Brahmanical marriages. You can mention other factors also. आप other factors भी लिख सकते हैं. Mostly, yes, our idea gets influenced by that. ठीक है, sacred marriages हैं. अभी जैसे इसकी ceremonies हैं, there are other ceremonies also in the other religion. You can mention about them also. ठीक है. So this is about the marriage. Now, why is marriage losing its value as a sacrament? Because there is secularization of marriage. When you use the word secularization, it is about secularization का क्या मतलब है? It is about reducing hold of religion. Secularization means secularization of education, reducing stronghold of the religion in that aspect. तो यहाँ पे secularization का मतलब है that the stronghold of religion is reducing in marriages. Like we've already discussed, it was about ceremonies, it was about rituals, but now it is about what? It is about your preferences is based on compatibility. It's about the income status. It's about the ascribed status. ठीक है? So you don't majorly think कि हाँ पंडित जी ने शादी करवाई. क्या status है? क्या preference है? क्या compatibility है? क्या chemistry है? So now initially there was no choice. It was seen as धर्म पत्नी की मदद से ये धर्म का पालन करना है, दूसरे आश्रम में जाना है, गृहस्थ आश्रम में जाना है. So it's no longer about dharma. It has now been reduced to social contract. That is secularization of marriage. Not only is the marriage form changing, not only is the rituals withhold reducing, but also universality of marriage. Why should we marry? Okay, the universality of marriage is getting questioned. Rather than marriage, the form is what? Live-in relation. The form is what? Sologamy. The form, universality of the marriage as an institution gets questioned because of the change in the value system. Value system change हुआ, marriage नहीं करनी है. Divorce is no longer seen as a taboo. Okay, there are single parent-headed families. There are divorced families. So here, that is also getting questioned. कि marriage as a sacrament. कि पहले it was seen as, no, we are going against dharma, we are going against, divorce was seen as a taboo. आप धर्म से पीछे हट रहे हो, आप अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से पीछे हट रहे हो. अब सेक्युलर एजुकेशन, वैल्यू सिस्टम चेंज होना, ग्लोबलाइजेशन के कारण, मॉडर्नाइजेशन और वेस्टर्नाइजेशन के कारण, द पर्पस ऑफ मैरिज हैज चेंज्ड. पर्पस ऑफ मैरिज हैज चेंज्ड, द टाइप ऑफ मैरिज हैज चेंज्ड, the rituals that the marriage is associated, rituals जो associated थे marriage से, वो change हो गए. We have choice now कि करनी है कि नहीं करनी है, तो outlook ही change हो गया. So firstly that, yes, हाँ, yes, तो वो धर्म की बात है. अब choice है, अब करनी है कि नहीं करनी है, वो भी choice है. So universality gets questioned. The question is change in the value system, divorce rates increase हो गए. There is, marriage is no longer seen as dharma, it's about family pool, income pool. दोनों बैठ के EMI भरेंगे, दोनों के नाम से प्रॉपर्टी होगी. ठीक है, अभी मुझे, मेरा जो आउटलुक है मैरिज इज नॉट दैट, इट्स नॉट दैट गिविंग बर्थ टू किड्स, इट इज प्रॉबेबली इनकम पूल. जो डिंक कपल्स होते हैं, डबल इनकम नो किड्स, डबल इनकम नो किड्स फैमिली, की पैसे दोनों के, किड्स किसी का नहीं, डबल इनकम नो किड्स, डिंक फैमिलीज. ठीक है, yeah, it's a phenomenon, ding couples. Tell me please. Role of state, yes, right, yes, the role of state. See, in society always there would be different cases, right? There would be different cases that some of them are seeking protection, some of them would try to misuse. Misuse हो रहा है, तो we need to find out कि misuse क्यों हो रहा है और उसको plug करना है. To say that हम law नहीं लाएंगे, या will not respect privacy, we will not respect individual choices, that we can't say. ठीक है, तो you need to plug in administration में, you need to have that administrative acumen to plug the loopholes rather than not respecting. That's what saying ना, हमारा outlook change हुआ है. Right now it is no longer about community affiliations, it's about individualism, it's about my privacy, it's about my choices, it's about modernization. तो modernization के नाम पे हम ये सोच रहे हैं कि मेरी individual choice है. What is society? It is amalgamation of you and me, right? तो we have to respect that also. बात सही और गलत की नहीं हो रही है, बात हो रही है कि changes क्या हो रहे हैं. Is it right or wrong? I am not attaching value, I am not attaching value judgment. I am saying that marriage as a sacrament, is it losing its value? Yes. कैसे? Religion की अभी rituals कम है, धर्म की बात नहीं है, it's about choices. There is no longer, divorce is no longer a taboo. So there are, the kind of marriages are changing. So yes, it is losing its sacrament as a, it is using its value as a sacrament. Right or wrong, I'm not giving a judgment there. ठीक है, because society है. ठीक है, so yes. Okay. हाँ, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, मॉडर्नाइजेशन, ग्लोबलाइजेशन, यस, बिल्कुल. यस, प्राइवेसी, मॉडर्नाइजेशन की बात चल रहा है ना. विमेन, सिर्फ विमेन ही क्यों, वैसे ही इंक्रीज ऑटोनॉमी, इंक्रीज प्राइवेसी, इंक्रीज इन इंडिविजुअल राइट्स, यू कैन टॉक अबाउट वुमेन ऑल्सो देयर, राइट. हाँ, बोल सकते हो. मॉडर्नाइजेशन एंड इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक वैल्यू सिस्टम, ऐसे लिखो. ठीक है, यस.
ये बाय डिफॉल्ट ये एस्टैब्लिश कर दे रहा है कि जो वैल्यू एग्जिस्ट करता था या जो प्रोसेस एग्जिस्ट करता था वो हायर लेवल पे.
नहीं, व्हाई डू यू से दैट? व्हाई आर यू अटैचिंग वैल्यू सिस्टम कि पहले वाला सही था, अभी वाला सही नहीं है? व्हाई डू यू से दैट?
बट द क्वेश्चन इटसेल्फ व्हेन इट इज सेइंग दैट losing its value,
losing its value as a sacrament, when you say कि it is losing its value as a sacrament, तो उसका जो sacrament वाला पार्ट था, धर्म वाला जो पार्ट था, that is losing its value. मतलब initially it is about धर्म, now it is not about धर्म. अभी धर्म नहीं, it's not about धर्म, it's not about sacrament. That is losing its value. So don't add value judgments there. ठीक है, डोंट ऐड वैल्यू जजमेंट देयर कि हाँ चेंज हो रहा है, हाँ हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है, रिचुअल्स का इंपॉर्टेंस कम है, कैसे हो रहा है आपका धर्म, यू डोंट नो लॉन्गर सी इट एज धर्म, यू सी इट एज अ चॉइस, you see it as an individual. It is about social contract. It is about social contract. The obligations are related to income pool. The obligations are related to your choice of marriage. For that matter, धर्म क्या, मैरिज खुद क्वेश्चन हो रही है, आप तो बोल रहे हो उसकी धर्म वाली वैल्यू कम हो रही है. आई एम सेइंग मैरिज इटसेल्फ इज गेटिंग क्वेश्चनड. There are questions like single-headed family, single-parent family, the idea of change of the sex, same-sex marriages, तो and live-in relation for that matter. Marriage नहीं करना है, live-in relation रहना है, तो marriage ही question कर रहे हैं. Value as a धर्म तो question हो ही रही है, but आपकी मैरिज भी क्वेश्चन हो रही है. तो सेक्युलराइजेशन का मतलब ये है कि रिलीजन का इंपॉर्टेंस कम होना, रिचुअल्स का इंपॉर्टेंस कम होना. इट्स अबाउट change in the value system, globalization, rise in extramarital affairs. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, Vedic times. लिख सकते हो एक लाइन में कि एंशिएंट इंडिया में क्या था, अभी मॉडर्न इंडिया में क्या है, फैक्टर्स क्या है, मॉडर्नाइजेशन, ग्लोबलाइजेशन, अदर फैक्टर्स. ठीक है. हाउएवर अब जो सेकंड पॉइंट है कि आप कितना भी बोल दो, ठीक है, हाँ यस डेफिनेटली बढ़िया रहेगा वो पॉइंट. 100. सेकंड क्वेश्चन उसी पे है, कडलिंग. यस, the second question is on that. Cuddling is reducing and that is being replaced by mobile phones. Yes, इस पे भी लिख सकते हो. You can touch anything but each other's phone. बाकी सब ठीक है, फोन को हाथ नहीं लगाना. ठीक है, that's the idea. Yes, बिल्कुल है. ठीक है. So yeah, that is true. Okay, fine. Now, despite it being changing its value, despite there's change in the value system, especially the perspective towards marriage, however, still today, not all of us actually don't go for court marriages. There are rituals still attached. Marriage is seen as giving identity. Marriage is seen as something completing an individual. Still date मैरिज नहीं हुई है तो क्वेश्चन मार्क आता है. ठीक है, डोंट लुक एट मी. ठीक है, देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन मार्क ऑफ कंप्लीशन, ऑफ स्टेबिलिटी, ऑफ फैमिली वैल्यूज, ऑफ transiting, of transmission of the values from one generation to other. Still date, divorce rates are less than 1% in India. They are increasing. There is increase in the extramarital affairs also, but divorce rate is still low. It is still, there is some kind of question mark that is still that. So abhi bhi marriage as a institution has a very strong hold in our country. In India per se, there is the other dimension. Do you think it is losing its value as a sacrament? Yes, but there is a strong social institution that is still deeply rooted in tradition, in religion. There are rituals. It provides support, social support to the family. It's about, there is still endogamy. There are still rituals that are other. So 12% of marriages in India are intercaste marriages. There is endogamy still, marriage within the caste. So abhi bhi endogamy. This is seen as passing of the values to children, passing of family traditions and values. ठीक है, sacrament है, and the divorce rate is very low in India. So it is still, हमारे यहाँ पे every social institution is affected by stability and change. Stability and change. So there is change, there is stability also. Changes हो रहे हैं, but still there are strong, these are institutions are very, very strong. So there is stability and change that is happening. Yeah. Yes. Some sections are questioning the universality of marriage. क्यों करनी है शादी?
why not the answer is now focusing on the previous factors? Why the individual approach? These things are.
नहीं, I did not understand. मतलब क्या? What are you expecting? ऐसा नहीं है कि एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर रही है. विंड्स ऑफ चेंज आए हैं. देयर इज क्वेश्चन मार्क. देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन मार्क ऑन. देयर इज अ रेज ऑफ क्वेश्चन मार्क. क्यों करनी है? देयर इज अ रेज ऑफ क्वेश्चन मार्क कि आप जो एजुकेशन बात कर रहे हो एंशिएंट टाइप का, बट आई हैव स्टडीड अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एजुकेशन. My education is about humanism. My education is about human values. कि an individual should strive for happiness. तो अगर मुझे happiness उस चीज पे मिल रही है, then why should I follow that? There's a question mark. There's increase in questioning. There's increase in rationality. There's increase in modernization. कि modern values की बात करो. Modern values क्या है? Humanism. रेनेसां के टाइम पे क्या हुआ? Individual should strive for happiness. आप वैदिक की बात कर रहे हो. 14th century, 15th century, there was a rise of Renaissance, which was saying that rather than social institution, rather than stronghold of religion, the question is rationality, human happiness. तो winds of change आए. That's what I'm saying. History का development अगर देखोगे, it's ancient India. You have Rig Vedic, you have later Vedic, you have Gupta times, you have Mauryan times. That's the change. Then we have medieval times. In medieval times, there were different value system. Then there was modern times. Modern times starts off with Renaissance, where there's question marks, where there is rationality, where there is focus on humanism, where there's focus on individual choices. जो revolutions आए, ठीक है, the duty of a king, social contract आया, तो change हुआ है. तो जिसको आप modernization कह रहे हो, modern कह रहे हो, वो Renaissance से आए, वो Renaissance के बाद वाले. आप जो बात कर रहे हो, दैट इज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, कि चेंज हुआ है. वहां पे सेक्रेमेंट था, वहां रिलीजन है, वहां रिचुअल्स है, वहां सेरेमनीज है, वहां पे इट्स अबाउट यूनियन ऑफ 7 लाइफ्स. नाउ इट्स नॉट अबाउट दैट. नाउ यू कैन सी चेंज, राइट? यू कैन सी अ सी चेंज इन द आउटलुक. दैट इज इट इज आस्किंग कि वो सेक्रेमेंट की जगह पे अब उसका वैल्यू जो सेक्रेमेंट था, जो सेक्रेडनेस थी, जो रिलीजन था, जो रिचुअल था, जो यूनियन था, इट्स नॉट देयर. द क्वेश्चन की करनी ही है, चॉइस नहीं है, धर्म है. आपको अगर आपको आश्रम में जाना है, यू हैव नो चॉइस एंड योर वाइफ वुड सपोर्ट. अब वैसी बात नहीं. राइट नाउ इफ यू से दिस टू जेनजी, तो दे विल से कि क्या बात है, आर यू फाइन, व्हाट आर यू सेइंग. दैट्स हाउ इट इज हैपनिंग. ठीक है. yes, we are trying to defend it. We are trying to say that yes, see, society में it is not black or white. Society is amalgamation of many different individuals, and we as a generation are confused generation. किसकी सुने, ठीक है? What even I listen to. So we have all the kind of outlook. We have all the kind of evidences. किसी के लिए probably it is marriage है तो है, ठीक है? हाँ, two types. Definitely there are two sides to it, right? Adultery, everybody says adultery मतलब extramarital affair, right? So, many of us, majority of us would be not comfortable about it. I'm still saying majority, ठीक है, with a star mark. कि majority of us would not be comfortable in our partners indulging in extramarital affairs. That question mark, that stability is still there. Huh? Premarital also. If you are a partner, you are a partner. Adultery nahi. Many of us would not be comfortable in our partner indulging in adultery. That's not we are comfortable about. That's what I believe. ठीक है. So यही तो है. The other side करके, yes, the other side of it. That if you want to have a different kind of conclusion, you talk about a stronghold of marriage as a social institution. It is still a very strong hold. डाल सकते हैं, चेंज दिखा सकते हो, चेंज दिखा, जस्ट एंशिएंट मत डालना, चेंज दिखाना. यस, बताएं. सेक्रेमेंट बेटर नहीं बोल रही हूं मैं. आई एम नॉट सेइंग बेटर. आई एम नॉट गिविंग वैल्यू जजमेंट कि क्या बेटर है. हु आर वी टू गिव बेटर? We are nobody. We can point out, rationally point out करना, see ethics में भी और society में भी rationally point out करना कि क्या changes हो रहे हैं, because that is asking कि क्या changes हो रहे हैं, क्या value system जो sacrament वाला value है उसका कम हो रहा है क्या importance. Just rationally tell that. Don't tell your affiliations. No. I am also not saying what is good, what is bad. I am just saying कि ये था, ये हो रहा. That's it. हाँ. Yes. Previous time. Yes. Yes. सती क्यों ला रहे हो इसमें? मैरिज पे लाओ. ठीक है. हाँ हाँ वो लिख सकते हो. यस यस करेक्ट, बिल्कुल लिख सकते हो. सती लाने से अच्छा यू राइट अबाउट स्ट्रेट मोनोगैमी एंड सीरियल मोनोगैमी. ठीक है, पहले ये था कि इफ यू आर अ पार्टनर, आई हैव वन पार्टनर, आई विल हैव वन पार्टनर इवन इफ ही इज अलाइव और नॉट. दैट वाज द आइडिया. वन पार्टनर, सी स्ट्रेट मोनोगैमी की जिंदा है नहीं है एक ही है. अब वो बात नहीं है. ठीक है, तो देयर इज चेंज, देयर इज दिस, एज लॉन्ग एज तुम जिंदा हो ठीक हो. जब तुम नहीं रहे तो आई कैन चूज अ पार्टनर. सो वी देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन स्ट्रेट मोनोगैमी एंड सीरियल मोनोगैमी. तो वैसे लिखो कि मैरिज चेंज हुई है, मैरिज का फॉर्म चेंज हो गया. यस बिल्कुल डाल सकते हो, गवर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव्स डाल सकते हो कि चेंजेस आए हैं. आउटलुक इसलिए भी चेंज हुआ, मॉडर्नाइजेशन, द रोल ऑफ स्टेट. यस यस पॉजिटिव नहीं, चेंज की नहीं चेंज. पहले तो ये चेंज हुआ है, चेंज नहीं हुआ है. जो चेंज नहीं हुआ है वही तो लिख रहे हैं कि मैरिज इन इंडिया इज स्टिल अ स्ट्रॉन्ग सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन. इट इज डीपली रूटेड इन ट्रेडिशन, इट इज डीपली रूटेड इन रिलीजन, इट इज डीपली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड इन सोशल नॉर्म्स. मैरिज आप बोल रहे हो यूनिवर्सलिटी क्वेश्चन हो रही है, आई एम सेइंग नो नहीं हो रही. दे स्टिल प्रोवाइड सोशल सपोर्ट. It is still seen as continuation of family lines. There is still strong traditional practices. अभी भी करवा चौथ ऑब्जर्व करते हैं. ठीक है, ठीक है. हाँ, तो उसमें फर्स्ट वाले में लिखोगे कि चेंज हुआ है, सेक्रेमेंट नहीं है अभी. इट्स नॉट अबाउट सेक्रेमेंट, इट इज नॉट फर्स्ट पार्ट है, दैट्स नॉट अबाउट सेक्रेमेंट. आपका प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आप उसको वैल्यू अटैच कर रहे हो, तो आप कंफर्टेबल नहीं हो रहे हो. प्रॉब्लम इज you are attaching a value significance. Probably you are thinking that the association with rituals was better, the associations with being a straight monogamy was better. That is what you think. My point is I am not saying better or good or bad. Good bad better नहीं कह रही हूँ, मैं सिर्फ बोल रही हूँ चेंज हुआ है.
राइट नाउ इंडियन मतलब ये जुडिशरी भी जो है ये सपोर्ट मतलब ये जैसे
इंडिविजुअल राइट्स है. हाँ ठीक है, हाँ ठीक है. हाँ यस यस.
अगर आप इस चीज को अगर आंसर में मेंशन करते हैं विल इट
What? No, it will not. No. As long as you are a rational individual and telling me that how the changes are taking place. Okay, even I have written. Okay, that there is globalization has changed the form of marriage. We are moving from straight monogamy to serial monogamy to open marriages to same-sex marriages. क्या ये गलत है? क्या globalization ने नहीं किया ये change? It has changed the form of marriage. अब sacrament की बात हो रही है क्या? It is not about sacrament. It is about open marriages. It is about. आप केस लॉ लिखो, आपको केस लॉ लिखना है तो आप केस लॉ लिख लो, पुट्टुस्वामी केस. That is good to go. ठीक है, you have enough points, you just want to write case law. Are you, as long as you are writing fact and as long as this is not an incorrect fact, that is fine. It's not an incorrect fact. हो रहा है ठीक है, और वो तो यूपीएससी खुद पूछ रही है ना कि वो सेक्रेमेंट कर रहा है लूज, तो हम जस्टिफाइंग इट बाय फैक्ट्स. यूपीएससी खुद पूछ रहा है, तो अभी हम क्लोजिंग द आइज नहीं 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 वैसा ही है, वही होगा. आप 7 दिन भी साथ नहीं रहने वाले हो. ठीक है, तो प्लीज ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है. वो पूछ रहा है वैसे, बताओ. चार्ल्स डार्विन क्यों? सर्वाइवल ऑफ फिटेस्ट. इनोवेटिव बनो, बट जहां नहीं जरूरत है वहां मत डालो. डोंट पुट. I believe that there would be enough point to write about social aspect. So linking it there was not much needed. ठीक है, एक होती है अच्छी बात, एक होती है सच्ची बात. आप सच्ची बात तो कर रहे हो, बट वो अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. बेसिकली इंडियन सोसाइटी है, इट्स सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया. ठीक है, वी हैव सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया देयर. salient features of Indian society, वहीं से स्टार्ट होता है. तो मच ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस आर बेस्ड ऑन आवर सोसाइटल एस्पेक्ट्स. ठीक है, नाउ सिंपल. या yes, please tell me. हाँ हाँ, कर सकते हो. सेक्रेमेंट की तरह यूज, बात सेक्रेमेंट की नहीं है अभी. ठीक है, इट्स अबाउट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, इट्स अबाउट कंसेंशुअल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. साथ में ही लिखो, साथ में. सिंपल, कीप इट जस्ट एज अ पॉइंट, सिंपल पॉइंट. नाउ यस, टेल मी. नहीं करेगी. It will not do. It has not done so far. It will not do. They are expecting you to actually know the changes. They are expecting. Ethics नहीं है. Ethics में कर सकती है, society में नहीं करेंगे. In ethics they can ask you, but not here. And in ethics also I believe they will rather test your administrative acumen more in case studies and others. So there are various strands in society. ठीक है, and we don't attach value judgments to them. ठीक है. So what is right, what is wrong, we are not attaching value judgments there. Now, second one, explain why suicide among young women is increasing in Indian society. Explain why suicide among young women is increasing in Indian society. So simple है, suicides बढ़ रहे हैं, young women में बढ़ रहे हैं, Indian society में. You have to explain why. A simple question. ठीक है, start off with a fact. We're talking about, yes, why. You can start off with a fact, introduction. You can tell me why. One. Okay, domestic violence. Okay, patriarchal mindset. ठीक है, identity crisis. ठीक है, lack of economic empowerment, lack of economic empowerment, dowry. Okay, okay, ठीक है, फाइन. पेरेंटल प्रेशर है, करियर प्रेशर्स है. ठीक है, कोटा, लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस ऑफ द राइट्स. ठीक है, एजुकेशन, लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस टुवर्ड्स मेंटल हेल्थ. लिखो, जब सुसाइड की बात चल रही है तो एजुकेशन से ज्यादा. हाँ, ग्लास सीलिंग. ओके, ग्लास सीलिंग, ग्लास क्लिफ. ग्लास सीलिंग, ऑल ऑफ यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस टर्म. सो बेसिकली there is a transparent ceiling beyond which the women are not promoted in the higher position. Okay, how many percentage of women are in members of parliament till date? 10%. There is a wage gap. 25% is the female labor force participation. ठीक है, 25% ही है. So there is wage gap, there is less female labor force participation, and the number of and the participation of women in the higher position is actually restricted. जिसको कहते हो ग्लास सीलिंग है. ये सीलिंग के ऊपर नहीं जा सकते और ट्रांसपेरेंट है, दिखती नहीं है. एक तो ग्लास सीलिंग है, और you should also know the term ग्लास क्लिफ. ग्लास क्लिफ क्या है? Coercion at workplace, definitely. Coercion at sexual harassment at workplaces. ठीक. Abortion rights. ठीक है, मतलब fine. That's not exactly the case, but because there is law there. हाँ. Cyber crimes, cyber bullying, pornography. Right. Yes. Basically, don't merely list your points. इस आंसर में segregate करना. The problem at the household level, then you talk about domestic violence, dowry related death, lack of say, ठीक है. अब culture of abuse, household. There is patriarchy at the home. There is a patriarchy at the workplace. So there are problem at the workplace also. In this workplace, you can talk about glass ceiling. You can talk about glass cliff. Glass cliff is what? Generally, females are not promoted at the higher position. That's glass ceiling. इसको higher position पे नहीं promote करते. However, at the time of crisis, whenever there is a crisis situation, females are promoted. ठीक है, हमारी first women prime minister. ठीक है, तो at the time of crisis situation, you promote a female, and then you say, and if she fails, then you have all the right in the world to say, हम तो कह ही रहे थे कि women are more emotional, women are not rational, women do not have management skills, they lack administration skills. That's glass cliff. कि cliff पे खड़ा कर दो, and then if it falls, you have all the right to blame. That's the at the workplace. And at the other place, you have workplace में you have problem of, what do we say, wage gap. There is sexual harassment at workplace. So household level, workplace level, there is also economic insecurity, lack of women economic empowerment. ठीक है, especially feminization of agriculture भी देखें तो the laggard sector has more of participation of the female. Laggard sector, agriculture is considered to be a laggard sector. So economic insecurities in the daily wage earning female. Your feminization of agriculture, there is economic insecurity. There is lack of say and mental health issues. And the mental health issues. हाँ, right. Household में आ जाए, ठीक है. Division of labor. That's what he's saying. Sexual division of labor. Basically, the care economy is, the burden of care economy is on female. ये आपका economic survey कहता है that females spend nearly 10 times more amount of hours in taking care of the family. Genderization of labor. ठीक है. In case there is mental health issue and the culture of abuse. ठीक है, वहां पे household level में basically you are talking about inequalities. You are talking about inequalities, marriage related issues, career pressure. So if you have restricted financial autonomy, if you have feeling of powerlessness and fear, if you do not have that control, there is emotional abuse, there are distress due to impotency. If it leads to that if it gets to the mental level, culture of, it's not about घर का काम ज़्यादा कौन कर, it's about the culture. It's about the culture that you have. How much of say does she even have in the financial related measures? How much of the say she does she has a say in नहीं करना? If that is the case, that gets to the mental level. So that is leading to issues. ठीक है, dual burden, career related pressures. ठीक है, it's easy, right? It's easy to not recruit a female, thinking कि maternity related आपको maternity related holidays देनी होगी. ठीक है, so don't recruit a female. And it is a double pressure. एक घर की shift है, एक office की shift है. ठीक है, so that creates pressure. It's about parental pressure. It's about learning disabilities. Once a female does not perform well, ठीक है, और pressure. Parental pressure, learning disabilities, exam stress leads to suicide. There is economic insecurity. So there is, we start off with the fact that Indian women has twice the suicide rate as compared to global average. You have problems of marriage. There is career pressure. There is economic security. The problem of child abuse. ठीक है, there was a survey, right? Nearly 50% of women have witnessed child abuse, some kind of child abuse. So that stays, that mental pressure there. Child abuse, discrimination at family, workplace, cyberbullying, revenge pornography, stigma around the mental health issues. So these are what are the reasons for high rates of suicide in the young women. Yes. बिल्कुल, conclusion में solution लिखो. बॉडी पार्ट में क्यों लिखना है जब एक पार्ट बोला है? तो पूछा हुआ है वाई। आप स्टार्ट करो फैक्ट से, आपके पास लग्जरी नहीं है ना, कंक्लूजन में लिखो जब आपको लिखना ही है। वे फॉरवर्ड लाइक यू हैव पॉलिसीज, you have Manas app, you have suicide prevention policies, there has to be genderization, socialization, ठीक है? So socialization should respect the gender based principles. So you have gender sensitive socialization. Mental health can be taken care of. Yes, बताएं. Child abuse. What is child abuse? So basically, as a child, you should know what is the difference between a good touch and a bad touch. So in case there is a bad touch, in case there is something that has been, you have been physically abused, verbally abused, mentally abused, that is called as child abuse. Okay. Yes. On the female. Yes, yes. Patriarchy works. Impotency related issues as well as divorce related issues. That creates a problem. Yeah, it is the burden lies on the weak sex. Okay, so that's happens. So these are the reasons. You have the points, you need to use those terms and you need to put those terms. That's it. Was it a difficult question? No, it was not a difficult question. So society mein questions are not difficult, you can easily टाइम मैनेज करना है, राइट? सो सोसाइटी में इट्स अ इजी सब्जेक्ट, it's a doable subject, and every time you will see there's a question on women, there's a question on caste system पे question आता है, ethnicity पे question आता है, women पे question आता है, ठीक है? फीचर्स ऑफ इंडियन सोसाइटी में रीजनलिज्म पे भी क्वेश्चन, या तो रीजनलिज्म, कम्युनलिज्म, या तो फिर लैंग्वेज इशू पे, बिकॉज 3 of them are listed together. They will ask question on any one of them. So you can understand the pattern also, you can understand how to attempt also. So it's not a very difficult subject to actually go about. The next one, yes, बताएं. Conclusion is about the steps that you can take. Gender sensitive socialization to respect and not to denigrate women. Fundamental duty, बिल्कुल, please talk about that. Fundamental duty है, right? There are some schemes that government has taken. Manas app है, there is your Gujarat based suicide prevention policy, you have ऐसे भी suicide prevention policy that we have in India, ठीक है? Look at this question, the next one. Child cuddling is now being replaced by mobile phones. Discuss its impact on socialization of children. So there is rather than child cuddling, the warm, affectionate hug, empathy towards, your care, it is now being replaced by mobile phones, and you have to discuss the impact on the socialization of children. So basically, mobile phone ka impact पूछ रहा है in the socialization of the children. What is the impact of what is the impact of mobile phones? Rather than cuddling, rather than that affectionate hug, rather than showing empathetic behavior, the replacement by mobile phones. So what is the impact on the socialization? I can start off with cuddling. What does cuddling means and how cuddling has been replaced by mobile phones, and then you can go on by telling me that cuddling is a process of holding children close for warmth, for affection, to show love, empathy, compassion. However, use of mobile phones have led to increase in the screen time, less of human interaction, screen time bada, human interaction kam hua, and there have been consequences on the children's socialization. Now, batao, what is the effect? It's a easy one. Effect kya hoga? Health, physical health, compromise of the physical health and the mental health. ठीक है? Mental and physical health, dissociation from reality. ठीक है? Okay. Alienation of the child from parents. Kinship suffered. भाईचारा, मेरा भाई है, मेरा मोबाइल है, ठीक है? So the alienation from the family members. Alienation from the family members. Kinship gets affected. and delusional values हो जाते हैं. What is right, what is wrong, we are not able to differentiate. And what that happens, it leads to juvenile delinquencies. Juvenile delinquencies बढ़ सकती है, मतलब a juvenile, having a delinquent behavior, having a behavior that goes against the laws, because we are not able to differentiate between what is right and wrong. Over information, misinformation leads to juvenile delinquency. I don't know if you would have read about it here. To cancel the examinations, there have been cases here in Delhi, Ryan International School. ठीक है, हाँ, right. So Ryan International School में there was a case where to cancel the examination, there was a harm done by a children to the other children. How do you get the ideas and how do you know what is right or wrong? वो idea blue whale आया था, gaming, and people were taking their own death. They were going for suicide. There was depression seen among the children. So isolation, alienation. So you have isolation, right? The effect is cyberbullying. There is problem of cyberbullying, and even the child gets confused. What is a right behavior? What is a wrong behavior? Child indulgence, adult-like activities. Okay, so there is problem. This problem of cyberbullying because of lack of socialization. So rather than knowing what is right or wrong, this is happening. बताएं? हाँ, emotional intelligence लिखिए. That decrease in emotional intelligence. तो जो wisdom आता है grandparents से, ठीक है, उनकी stories से, parents से, that gets affected. Right or wrong? This one. So here what happens is alienation from the parental care. There's social distance from the family. There's lack of interconnected with the family. Family से connect नहीं करते. Due to overexposure to media. Kinship is declining. There is lack of emotional connectedness. There is lack of security. किसके पास जाए, ठीक है? This leads to individualism and self-centeredness. So alienation from parents, alienation from kins. The physical health, cognitive development gets compromised. There's sleep disorder. There's anxiety. ठीक है? There is this decreased concentration span. How many times we touch our phone while studying? After every 10 minutes, after every 15 minutes. अभी वो apps भी आ गए हैं. Mind tree लगाएंगे. We'll vote for mind tree. We'll go for that. If you just click the phone, the tree breaks, and again you have to start. So if there is a streak, abhi people will create apps for that कि आप पढ़ाई कर सको अच्छे से. Yes, there is addiction. Yes, there is susceptibility to cyberbullying. We do not know what is right or wrong. Gets delusional. सही क्या है, गलत क्या है, आपको नहीं पता, मतलब बच्चों को नहीं पता. Juvenile delinquency. There is delayed speech. There's delayed speech impairment. You see, among children, they do not have. They'll keep quiet. They'll have their entertainment on phone rather than speaking up. So delayed speech development, language development, that is there. Yes. In motor skills, there's problem on motor skills also. Physical ability नहीं है. Yes, tell me. Educational divide. हाँ, लिख सकते हो. Yes, basically negative impact के साथ positive impact भी लिखना. आपसे क्वेश्चन क्या पूछ रहा है? That child cuddling has been replaced by mobile phones and discuss its impact on the socialization of children. Impact बोल रहा है. Impact positive और negative दोनों आएंगे. So once we have listed the negative impact, juvenile delinquencies, alienation, lack of socialization, isolation, these are negative impacts. But then there are positive impacts also. Better entertainment, learning, language developments हो सकती हैं. Yes, tell me. Why do you say that? Yes. Discuss the impact. See, you will write more of negative impact, but you'll not skip the positive impact as an alternative. So one paragraph, majority of your answer, let's say the divisions can be 80-20. Majority of the answer would be replace को replace ही बोलोगे ना. हाँ, exactly. Replace को replace ही बोलोगे. Why do you think it is negative? Proportion कम रखो, but you write the other points also. It is not saying adversely impacted. ठीक है, it is saying impact, that it has been replaced, it has been changed, there's more use of mobile phones, and what is the impact of it. So keep more of the negative points, less of the positive points, because ज़्यादा negative ही है, ठीक है. So talk about new hobbies, greater cognitive development, exposure to technological development, entertainment of children through videos. Parents को लगता है घर में ही तो है, बैठे तो घर पे ही हैं, सेफ्टी में बैठे हैं, ठीक है. करें क्या? Parental checks are necessary. Parental checks जो होते हैं in the mobile, that this is the time you have to take, this is what you can watch. There are what, Google for kids also, YouTube for kids also, that is also there. So you have to have parental checks. Parental checks, boundaries on screen time, balanced life, ठीक है. Have face-to-face interaction. The greater responsibilities on parents rather than the child. हाँ, यस यस, जापान में भी है, चाइना में भी है, ठीक है. फॉर दैट मैटर इंडिया में भी है, एप्स तो हैं, ठीक है. सो वी हैव टू गो फॉर दिस, ठीक है. वी हैव टू गो फॉर प्रमोशन ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबल इंटरनेट यूज, ठीक है. सो दिस वाज सम आइडिया अबाउट सोसाइटी, सम आइडिया अबाउट ज्योग्राफी. देयर हैव बीन अदर क्वेश्चंस आल्सो अबाउट द रिसोर्स पोटेंशियल, कि क्या रिसोर्स पोटेंशियल है. व्हाट अबाउट the coastal, what about the forest, where do we have forest in India, what are the vegetations. So there is this forest idea, where do we have forest, कौन से forest है, कहाँ कहाँ है, क्या factors है जो forest को influence करते हैं in India. These are 15 mark question. I said for a 15 mark question generally it is you have generally this one, 2 questions, right. So your comment on the resource potential of long coastline of India. Tell us what is the resource potential of the coastline of India. Coast है हमारा 7,516 किलोमीटर जो coastline है, उसमें resource बताओ. What all resource do we have? Generally resource you will think of metallic resource, mineral resource, but it's not just that. It's also about water resource, it's also about energy resource, it's also about biotic resource, mangroves, wetlands, ठीक है. तो कमेंट करो रिसोर्स पोटेंशियल का लॉन्ग कोस्ट लाइन का, एंड हाईलाइट द स्टेटस ऑफ नेचुरल हजार्ड प्रिपेयर्डनेस इन दिस जोन. देयर आर 2 parts. So you have to tell us what are the hazards and how far are we prepared. Comment on the preparedness or highlight the status of preparedness. तो क्या national hazard है और हम कितना prepared हैं. Hazards like cyclones, hazards like tsunami, hazards like pollution, hazards like yes, hazard like pollution, sea level rise. आप कितना prepared हो, आपने क्या क्या किया हुआ है to be prepared. You have MISTI program, you have coastal regulation zones, you have other zones. You have coastal regulation zones, you have INCOIs, you have integrated coastal zone management, MISTI program है. तो आपने क्या क्या steps लिए to get prepared. So generally for a 15 mark question it's a 2 questions. They will not ask 1 question, they will ask 2 questions, and then you have to do. What are the factors that affects the distribution of, what are the factors that affects the diversity of natural vegetation in India. India में natural vegetation में diversity है, कौन से factors responsible है. Assess the significance of wetland wildlife sanctuaries in the rainforest region of India. तो rainforest कहाँ है, उसमें wildlife sanctuary कौन सी है और उसका importance बताओ. But so something you will show in the diagram, where are rainforests and what are the wildlife sanctuaries in the rainforest, and you will write assessment of the importance in the body. तो rainforest कहाँ है इंडिया में, western side of, southwestern side of Western Ghats. Eastern Ghats पे we don't have rainforest. Arunachal Pradesh northeastern region, Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep, where the rainfall is about 250 centimeter, 300 centimeter. तो कहाँ पे rainfall 250-300 centimeter is Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, northeastern region, the northeastern region, and the southwestern part of the Western Ghats. कौन सी वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरीज हैं, ये प्रीलिम्स में पढ़ते हो कि कौन सी वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरीज हैं. यू हैव व्हाट वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरीज इन दिस रीजन, ठीक है. मानस वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी नॉर्थ ईस्ट में, और नीलगिरी के नीचे वाला होता है बेसिकली, पेराम्बिकुलम, इराविकुलम. यू हैव अंडमान निकोबार में वी हैव गालाथिया, वी हैव मरीन. So you have these wildlife सेंचुरीज, ठीक है. यू हैव बक्सा, यू हैव जल्दापाड़ा, गुड़माड़ा, ठीक है, have Kaziranga. These are, and towards this the southern side, Wayanad, Periyar, Annamalai, Neyar, Muduntarai, Kalakkad, Muduntarai, ये सब आपकी वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरीज हैं. और आपको इसका इंपॉर्टेंस बताना है. You have to assess the importance of wildlife sanctuaries. Are these wildlife sanctuaries important? And if they are important, what is its importance? And in case there are some limitations, क्या assess करते हो ना. assess करना यानी दोनों डायमेंशन देखना. Assess the importance of wildlife sanctuary. They are important. Why are they important? And what are the limitations of it? तो 15 marks के लिए demarcation into various heads becomes important. सिर्फ ये नहीं पूछ रहा है कि hazards बताओ इंडिया में कोस्ट लाइन पे. Assess how far are we prepared. कहाँ हम prepared हैं, किसको लेके prepared हैं और किसको लेके हम prepared नहीं हैं. और अगर आप prepared हो, if you are prepared, what are the steps that you have taken? What steps have we taken? So demarcation of the questions in 15 marker is important. That how far will you demarcate? So what is the importance of wildlife sanctuary? The importance of wildlife sanctuary is in situ conservation. It's a term, in situ conservation. Conserving the population, flora, fauna in the same place. Species specific conservation. You want to conserve some species, some wildlife, some specific wildlife. मैनेज करता है मैन एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. हाउएवर कितना भी बोलो प्रॉब्लम्स तो हैं. नेशनल पार्क को ज्यादा, नेशनल पार्क हैज मच मोर स्ट्रिंजेंट रेगुलेशन as compared to wildlife sanctuary. The boundaries of wildlife sanctuaries have been changed, have been turned, have been twisted, because national park is declared by the central government majorly. Wildlife sanctuaries is declared majorly by the state government. The boundaries are हाँ, दे विल, तब फिर प्रोटेक्शन का डिग्री अलग हो जाएगा. बट अभी जब तक वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी है तब तक बाउंड्रीज को फ्रीक्वेंसी चेंज करते हैं. मैनेजमेंट गेट्स कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड. देयर इज डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ पीपल. इफ यू वांट, व्हाइल यू आर गोइंग फॉर वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, देयर इज डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ पीपल. दैट लीड्स टू मोर ऑफ एनिमल मैन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन. तो यू हैव टू असेस दैट. ठीक है. सो आई विल नॉट स्पेंड मच टाइम. आई हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन लॉट ऑफ टाइम. पॉइंट ये है, सोसाइटी इज इजी. Geography have an edge with respect to examples, have an edge with respect to diagrams. And for 15 mark question, try to mark your answers or segregate your answers. जो organization होता है body का, वो ज़्यादा अच्छे से करना. So that's it from my side, the geography part and the society part. There have been few questions on environment also. The questions were fairly easy. बट वेटलैंड कंजर्वेशन के नाम बताओ. वेटलैंड कंजर्वेशन है, ऑयल स्पिल्स क्या होता है, मरीन पे क्या इम्पैक्ट होता है. सो द क्वेश्चंस ऑन एनवायरनमेंट वर फेयरली इजी. सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग पेशेंट. यू कैन हैव योर ब्रेकफास्ट एंड अदर थिंग. थैंक यू सो मच.